Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, co-grand marshals Richard Petty and Jeff Gordon as we go down trackside, where Jeff Gordon will give the command, celebrating his 15th anniversary of his first start at Atlanta.
And now, race fans, please welcome your co-grand marshal, Terry Gilstead, for a special introduction for today's command.
Here's to give the command to Jeff Gordon.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Jeff Gordon, it was 15 years ago here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He made his very first career start when Richard Petty made his final start to end an illustrious 35-year career. That's why Gordon able to give the command, and the King Richard Petty will be standing by in the flag stand to help wave the flag. 43 of NASCAR's finest have come to life and are set for 500 miles here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Take a look at our starting grid. Greg Biffle becomes a 16 different pole winner in 2007, captures his 4th career pole, flanked by Kurt Busch. And of course, Dale Jarrett, how about his best ever qualifying effort of the year here in 3rd? While you watch to see where your favorite driver is starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, Casey Mears, driver of the GMAC National Guard Chevy, who starts 15th today.
Hey, Casey Mears, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us, buddy?
I got you, bud.
Casey, you got the pole at Chicago, and you won the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. Man, it seems like you got great runs going on these mile-and-a-half tracks. But hey, Casey, how good's this car at Atlanta today?
I think we got a real good National Guard GMAC Chevrolet. I mean, we've been fighting back and forth, just trying to get the balance just right, but it's been driving well. I mean, I feel like the car's got a lot of grit, so hopefully keep up the track today and be there at the end.
Hey, Casey, what's the best part of this track for you? I mean, is it high or low or where at? I mean, where do you think we're going to see you making most of the passes today?
Yeah, it seems like, you know, most everybody is down on the bottom at 3 and 4. 1 and 2, there's a lot of options. So it seems like guys run around the top, get really good runs off of 2, and you see some good passes down the backstretch.
All right, buddy, have a great race. We'll talk to you later on.
10 and 4.
Calling his shots for Casey today will be crew chief Darian Grubb. Let's visit with Darian.
Hey, Darian Grubb, Andy Petrie up here. Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir, Andy. Got you loud and clear.
Hey, Darian, you come to Atlanta here, and it's always an issue with tire wear. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about what you guys are dealing with and how you deal with that tire wear here?
Yeah, it's getting to be a pretty unique situation here in Atlanta. The asphalt's really starting to wear out and show its age. It's a real fun animal to try to tame. You go out there, and if you're a little tight, your right front's going to be worn out. If you're a little loose, your right rear will be worn out. So it's all about tire management today and trying to work a strategy to put tires on it as many times as we can.
Darian, what do you expect the track to do? Do you expect it to change a lot during the day, and what kind of changes do you anticipate?
Yeah, I think so. I think the track's really going to free up a lot today, and the second groove up top is definitely going to come in. You can see there's a pretty good truck race last night, too. So we're looking forward to getting a National Guard GMAC Chevrolet working in both grooves so Casey can make the new moves that he needs to make and go towards the front.
Okay, Darian, you and Casey have a great race, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, folks, pit strategy is one of the keys to the outcome here today. To explain, let's hear from 4 of the best in the business on pit road, starting with Mike Massaro.
And, Doc, the first move in the pit strategy chess game is pit selection itself. And with the number 6 pick overall, the 48 team in Chad Knaus chose pit stall number 2. Why? Look at the length of this pit road. In this particular segment, there are 20 different stalls. That's the most cars in one segment from break to break of any segment on pit road. With that, Knaus thinks there's more of a probability of a collision. And to protect against that, he wants to pit at the closest end of pit road, as close to the exit as he possibly can. So for him, it's as much a move about gaining a competitive advantage as it is about avoiding potential disaster. Let's go to Jamie Little.
Well, Mike, a lot does go into choosing your pit box, and Tony Stewart, who finds himself 4th in points, is pitted way in the back, almost the last spot. Crew chief Greg Zipadelli chose this spot. What went into making your decision to pit here today?
Well, today, yesterday when we picked pits, obviously we qualified 30th, so there wasn't that much to choose from. We like to be at one end of the pit road or the other. The middle really seems to get congested. Here we can get in and get our work done and get out against the grass and race down. Or if you can be in the first 10 or 15, it seems like it's good too. Timing lines, they're important when you do have the choice. And obviously, you always try to go to one side or the other of an opening so that it just eliminates, makes pit stops a little bit better. Driver be a little bit more aggressive getting in, opens up that box for your guys. So, you know, this should be a pretty good spot for us. Mark's pretty good behind us, Mark Martin, to pit around. So hopefully that's the other thing you look for is cars that you know are courteous to you and vice versa. They'll stop in their box. They won't cheat a line and come all the way to the front or vice versa. So, you know, hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and get this Home Depot Chevrolet up front.
Hopefully you'll stay out of trouble. And if you remember, guys, back 2 weeks ago, they pitted in the back. They had 2 pit road incidents that knocked them out of contention for the win. We'll have to keep our eyes on the 20. Dave?
Well, Jamie, Clinton Boyer qualified 26, so crew chief Gil Martin told me by the time the choice on pit road came to us, it was more about accepting a place on pit road. Now, they could have accepted a place further up pit road and been the last to put themselves into a group of very fast race cars, but instead they chose right here, well back on the grid, because they were the first in this area to choose, knowing that around them guys would choose later who might be potentially going a lap down early, giving them more space when only the lead lap cars pit later. He was also not afraid to pick this far down the grid because of how wide the pit road is here at Atlanta. If Clint needs room to maneuver around all those cars coming and going further on down pit road, he can go out even as far as the grass if he needs to maneuver around and escape disaster. Alan?
Well, David, usually in the championship chase, every driver has at least one bad finish in the 10 races. But thus far, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and Clint Boyer have not. And Gordon says maybe the pattern is changing this year. Maybe you have to go through the 10 races without a problem. Jeff knows there's still a lot of racing to go and a lot of points to be earned. And at a tough, fast track that's difficult on tires, earning points is the name of the game today for those 3 drivers and the others hoping to win a championship.
Alan, everyone fourth or back except for to finish her 30th at work. Here's the question. Are Gordon, Johnson, and Boyer overdue for a stumble here today?
Coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Bank of America, Bank of Opportunity. And Aflac. NASCAR fans, join Aflac in New York City for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Champions Week.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting set for 500 miles, 325 laps. It is stop number 7 on the chase, and folks will be carrying you along with 9 different high-definition onboard cameras from drivers all throughout the field, and also we'll have a camera looking out the back of our Chevy pace car, looking back at the field as they get set to turn them loose here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Folks, the clock is ticking and the chase is on as the pace car pulls away and the fans come to their feet. We are set for the green flag because the race is on, and the king, Richard Petty, is going to turn them loose at Atlanta. Stacking up off of turn 2, a couple of cars in behind Earnhardt Jr., whose car just slows abruptly as they go around him on both sides.
And guys, the exit of turn 2, that's always really slick down that part of the racetrack, so expect them to run high on top of the track. And with that said, turn 1's really bumpy on the bottom, so they're going to probably keep on the high side the first part of this race to stay out of those bumps.
They blew
down there.
They blew the racetrack off with blowers right before the start, but I see a lot of dust and dirt. I don't know if these guys are maybe getting out on their tires and slipping around a little bit. But we see a lot of guys slipping and sliding already.
Kurt Busch, who's strutting second right now in the gold car, the highest qualifying chase contender. He is trying to get there and get those 5 bonus points for leading a lap. There is Kurt on the inside. Desperately needs to lead a lap and get those 5 bonus points because, folks, he is way back in the chase in 10th position.
Jerry, remember one thing, there's a lot of momentum on the top side of this racetrack, especially off of turn 4. We've seen a lot of passes there, a lot of close victories because of that corner. So Kurt Busch knows that, the rest of this field knows that, and I expect them to start using that top side of that racetrack when these tires start wearing, Andy.
The tires, when they're new and they're good and sticky like they are right now, they're going to run. A lot of these guys will run right on the bottom of the racetrack. But as soon as those tires start wearing, you'll see a lot of these guys start creeping right up next to the wall.
Let's show you what happened. You're talking about what happened here when he took the green flag. Now watch him coming off turn 2. Watch the 8 car just abruptly stop, almost slow down on a spin.
Yeah, Dale Jr. real loose coming off of turn 2. And like I said, that part of the racetrack is very, very loose on the start. Kind of dirty down. Let's watch it one more time.
Well, you got to give Davis Trimmy and Ryan Newman a lot of credit here because that could have been a big-time wreck.
Dave?
And Jerry Jr. referred a little bit to the motor stumbling at the beginning of that. He says, I don't know what that was, and it hasn't happened since. So they ate up to full song, but the beginning was not good.
Man, he about spun that car out off of turn 2, stacking up like that. And the rest of those drivers did a great job to, avoid him, that's for sure.
Brad? Doc, as we went to the green flag, the King's hat blew off as the parade came by, and now his hat is sitting actually on the front stretch here right before you get into turn 1. We see the King's baseball cap sitting in the turn there, so a little bit of debris on the course thanks to the King.
Well, it's a good thing it wasn't his cowboy hat, or they'd have to throw a caution, Brad.
He would have came down and got that thing.
He would have gone at you. Now watch the hat come off the King here. Whoa! I think that's the first time I've ever seen the King without a hat, either that cowboy hat or a baseball hat.
Man, that was way cool. The King lost his hat. Unbelievable. Now, look, you're right. If that was the cowboy hat, it'd be a caution, then probably a red. We throw the red flag, get out there and take a look at that.
Yeah, woe be it to the driver who runs over the King's cowboy hat. That would not work. Here's talking about running away. How about the 2-car of Kurt Busch, who this week said we were been very okay in the chase until we got to Martinsville last week, and we just ran horribly. We had problems with the right front tire. We hit the wall, the toe out. We finished 31st. We were embarrassed by how poorly we ran a week ago. Speaking of running well here this weekend, how about the 44 car, Dale Jarrett, best qualifying effort of the year, 3rd overall on the starting grid at a place where he has definitely won and been a factor here many times in the past. AB?
Yeah, we know what a struggle it's been for Dale Jarrett this year, Doc. 11 times he's failed to qualify for a race this year, driving for Michael Waltrip Racing, that brand new team that started this season with no owner points. And when he qualified 3rd here on Friday night, DJ likened his taking that top qualifying spot to the upset of the year in college football, Appalachian State beating Michigan. He said, we have the upset of the year now. Well, I don't know if it's going to be an upset if he wins today or not, but he's certainly going to try and keep this car in the top 15 for the afternoon.
You know, he's got to be fired up, Alan. 3rd place qualifying. He's got his car really running good here today. I don't think it'd be that big an upset if he won here at Atlanta. Dale Jarrett's a great race car driver.
Now take a look at Tony Stewart. He won this race last year here, then went on to Texas to win Texas also. He was really on a run, and here's a guy that's 4th in our point standings that can definitely get back in the game if he's got another week like he had last year.
Behind him, the 31 car, Jeff Burton back there. These are all guys in the chase. In position, the 29, his teammate Kevin Harvick. Remember, Harvick started way back in 34th position, already up to 26th.
This race is not going to change a lot. The track isn't, at least from yesterday's practice session. We've had good weather here, great weather, just unreal. So the drivers and the tracks are pretty accustomed to what's going on right now. They're got it all figured out. But take a look at Jimmy Johnson working the bottom of the racetrack down in turn 3 and 4.
Jimmy Johnson had a fast race car in practice in the last practice session, but he said it wasn't all that comfortable, but he looked pretty good right here. You got more on him, Mike?
Yeah, Andy, talking about that race car, believe it or not, it's not the car he used back in the spring when he dominated this race, leading 135 laps. Instead, it's the car they ran at Charlotte just a couple of weeks ago. I asked Chad Knaus why they would make that decision, knowing that the Atlanta car they had earlier this year was so good. He simply said, based on history, that car was more consistent, it adjusts better, and it has much better wind tunnel numbers.
And Mike, this car has raced 11 times in its 2-year career here as a race car, and it has either won or finished 2nd 6 times. So pretty good car. It's the one he won with at California and Las Vegas early in the year. Now back in the pack here, a couple of guys. Here's the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, being shown back in 16th position.
And Denny's 8th in our point standings right now, so he's another guy trying to make up some ground. Although he's 414 points behind. That's a long way back, guys. And there's our in-race reporter, Casey Mears. We're going to be talking to him throughout the day.
A couple of cars back there. You could see Juan Pablo Montoya. Behind him is Carl Edwards, who tried but couldn't quite pull off the Busch Series championship last night in what was a marathon in Memphis. And Carl Edwards right now following Juan Pablo Montoya, who had a great run here in the spring. Dave?
He sure did, Doc. A 5th place finish. And one of the reasons Donnie Wingo said is because we harped on him from the start with these race cars about tire management. And that was one thing that Juan Pablo did very good in the spring. They expect him to do very well here today. And during these long runs, these tires wear out. If he can do that, he'll have another shot at a good finish.
Yeah, I was talking to Donnie Wingo, his crew chief, down there last night in the motorhome lot, and he was pretty optimistic they would have another good run just like they did in the spring. They've had a lot of good races since. Wow, they've got some three wide racing here.
Well, they wisely get back in line right now. You see Martin Truex working the bottom side of the racetrack there. Truex was really on top of the track early. I mean, dusting up that top groove the first 2 laps. He get a little loose, out of control there, but he gathered it back up.
I was kind of wondering whether he was doing that on purpose or not, or whether that was accidental.
Here is Jeff Gordon. He is being shown in the 5th position. Folks, in happy hour yesterday, this car was a handful. He said it was very sensitive. It was very loose going in the corners, and he was 25th fastest in happy hour. A lot of folks said maybe that's the first chink in the armor. Could he be having some troubles here today? Kurt Busch, our leader, Biffle, Johnson, Casey Kane, and Jeff Gordon in the top 5 after 14 laps are complete. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. We welcome you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. NASCAR Nextel Cup coverage, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. That's the 2 car. They call it Rogers, the car that Kurt Busch won with up at Michigan, and he named after Roger Penske, the captain, because that's the track he had built and basically nurtured for so many years. There's the transition, the interval back to Greg Biffle in 2nd spot. 2.5 seconds back goes Kurt Busch, is just pulling away.
And Dr. Jerry, I tell you, Kurt Busch, this guy doesn't surprise anybody right now to me, because he won Michigan, he won Pocono, he was dominating the Kansas City when he lost in that pit road strategy with the fuel. So it's no surprise. And take a look at Jeff Gordon working the bottom of this racetrack right now. He's on the move. He's all the way up to 5th place right now. Alan?
Jeff Gordon just picking up 4th after starting back in 8th, Rusty, and his crew chief Steve Letarte told me that they were going to take these first 25 laps easy because they wanted to get a good read on their tire wear. Remember, we talked about how tough this racetrack is on tires. Most of these teams will be very anxious to get a reasonably early caution flag, as long as it's not them that brings out the yellow, and get a look at the tires and to move up to 4th while taking it easy for these first 25 laps. That's a pretty good race car.
Alan, that's the key right there. Don't be the first guy to have a tire problem. So you want to take it easy, especially this first run in Jeff Gordon's position. So maybe somebody else will go out there and wear that tire out maybe and cause that caution you need.
What's the old saying? Never test the depth of water with both feet. Always put one foot in first, or let someone else test it, then you know how deep it is. That's what Jeff Gordon, not a good omen for the rest of the competition, taking it easy here and sailing by the 9 car of Casey Kane. Here's the 5 car of Kyle Busch. And, of course, right in front of him, the 1 car. How about the efforts of Martin Truex, who started back in 20th position?
Yeah, he's picked up 14 positions since he started the race, guys, and he has been marching that baby forward. And Kyle Busch, look at that thing. He's got the rear end kicked out off of turn 4 right there. He's a little bit loose. He's a guy who likes driving that car loose, though, Andy.
I never see his car with the rear end tucked up under it. It's usually cocked out. He can drive a loose car better than anybody I've ever seen.
You know, right off the bat, Martin Truex has got this thing glued to the top of the wall. Take a look at him. It didn't take long for him to say, you know what, I'm tired of the bottom of the track. I'm sticking this baby to the top.
He's running the top of the racetrack in 1 and 2 and right on the bottom in 3 and 4. I've been noticing his line because he is so fast and he's passing so many cars. But one thing that he's got to worry about a little bit is that top of the racetrack is pretty abrasive, especially early, that he might be causing a little extra tire wear on his right front or right rear tire.
Well, look at him just turn that car all the way down to the white line, Rusty, to go by the 9 car.
Yeah, right now he's got a lot of grip. You see him moving around a little bit. The car getting a little loose off at turn 2. It gets really slick down there. That preferred groove, I'm telling you, the top of 1 and 2. And they'll run that bottom in 3 and 4 for a while. But remember, the race has been won on the top side on the exit of turn 4.
Another guy making the moves, the 5 car of Kyle Busch, started back in 19th, being shown now in 7th position. Dave?
And Doc, he is feeling racy this weekend as he gets prepared to pass Casey Kane right now. He won in the Craftsman Truck Series race yesterday, the 2nd time in 2 starts that he's won here in Atlanta in a truck. And yesterday he did at least 5 laps of it one-handed. His window net was starting to come down, and he held it up with his left hand while driving it over 190 miles per hour into the corners with just his right hand. He was about to be black flagged by NASCAR for safety reasons, obviously, with the window net, not the one-handed driving, and a caution came out which saved him. But this guy can drive, and he proved it again yesterday with one hand.
'16 car, our pole sitter Greg Biffle now losing some distance to the leader Kurt Busch and being reeled in by Jimmy Johnson. What's going on with Biffle?
And Doc, it seems like he may have a problem. Such high hopes coming into this race. That's the car he won with in Kansas City, but it appears there's a vibration and potential trouble for the 16 car. Let's listen in. there, quote, "We're done." But it doesn't look that way for the time being. Still second on the board, running a little bit slower. As you can see, the 48 team about to bypass Biffle.
You know, the one key thing that just happened there is that Jimmy Johnson got around him, because that thing blows up. We didn't want that to happen in front of the points contender, that's for sure.
Well, you surely don't want to hear that as a crew chief, that you're done and the thing's vibrating, going to blow up. But you're looking at what the lap times he's running. We're looking at the telemetry. We can see that the car's still fairly fast. He's still running third. So you just kind of keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully, you know, this vibration will go away, but they usually don't.
How do you know that when you have a vibration, if it is engine related or just something in the front end of the car?
Well, a lot of times when you have an engine vibration, believe it or not, the guys have got the carburetor actually too rich. The engine will really stumble. It'll make a lot of noise. It just runs terrible. And there's been a lot of times we had too much fuel in the carburetor, actually leaned the engine down, and it got much, much smoother. And that could be happening right now. We've got some really good conditions out here for temperature and stuff at the racetrack, and I'm not for sure if that's it or not.
We'll keep an eye on Biffle and follow his progress. Now, here's a driver, Matt Kenseth, who lost an engine early in the practice on Friday, and because of that, had to start shotgun on the field, had to go all the way at the back of the pack. And Jamie Little, he's making some pretty good progress.
He sure is. He's gained 16 positions already. You know, all the media spotlight has been on him all week, and then first practice out on Friday, they blew up. And Robbie Reiser's crew chief told me it wouldn't have been that bad had they not had the fire. It created a mess. They had to go back and repair that car all day on Friday. But so far, this backup engine working out for Matt Kenseth. Doc?
It absolutely is, Jamie, and Kenseth now trying to go beneath another chaser, the 07 of Clint Boyer. And Kenseth didn't exactly have the best Friday or Saturday. He's having a pretty good Sunday thus far, setting sail to get in the top 25. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Welcome back to the Pep Boys 500 under caution for the first time today. Everyone on pit road: Casey King, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch. Let's check in the 5 pits, Dave.
Kyle Busch leaving right now. A little tight in the center. He said, but the drive up off is awesome. I love it. Little track bar adjustment for the center of the corner. Alan?
And a little trouble on Kurt Busch's pit stop. They had a lug nut that didn't come off the left front the first time around. He's going to lose a little bit of ground, I believe, on this set of stops. We'll check the story. And now he held the lead still. Wow, even with a problem.
That's when you know you're good, or maybe you're just really lucky. Take a look at the exchange here. Johnson loses a spot. Ryan Newman, good job for the Penske guys, up 2 positions. Kurt Busch still our leader in spite of what you heard Alan say with the lug nut issue, so they must have had a really good stop there. Here's the 42 car. Halloween comes early for the Haviland crew. Juan Pablo Montoya cuts a right front tire, and this is the reason for the caution here, the first caution of the day coming out on lap 34. Take a look.
We were worried about this tire wear from the start, and these guys, you know, you talk about the 42 car was one of the guys that trying to conserve his tires. You don't want to be the first guy to blow a tire, because this is what happens.
Yeah, but
the tire blows out and you have a caution.
If you're going to blow a tire, you definitely want it to blow where it did, right in the middle of the back straightaway. He was able to get it to the bottom of the track and not fly up into the wall. So good job out of Juan Pablo.
And folks, we just went to commercial, and our Andy Petrie told our producer, folks, this is when tires become a problem here. You got to watch it. Suddenly, boom, Montoya has an issue. Back with the restart at Atlanta in just a moment. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting set for the restart here at Atlanta after the first caution flag today at Hampton, Georgia. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series action. The first caution, the cut right front tire for Juan Pablo Montoya. Pit stops. Kurt Busch will lead him down again into turn 1. Great shot from high above, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear and the Goodyear blimp. You can see the perspective. Here's a 22 car slowing down.
Hit the button or anything there? No.
Looks like he doesn't have any power.
Switch boxes.
He had his hood up on the pit stop there.
So everything.
We don't know what's wrong. Maybe something wrong with the engine.
Alan?
No power on the 22 car, and this is huge because this is the 35th place car in owner points, Doc, and I'm sure you can explain why that's big.
Yeah, troubled after last weekend. Remember, they had a rear end gear. They spent 67 laps in the pits, and that cost them a 34th position in the owner's points, and they desperately need to hang on to the top 35. Caution now waving again because the 22 car has no power and is stuck on the racetrack. And there you see the caution waving once again here as Rodney Wise waves the yellow flag here on lap number 39.
You got to wonder if maybe he hit the button on the steering wheel to kill the thing. You heard the radio transmission, just a little bit of it. Check your radio button. A lot of guys bump that thing leaving pit road, and it's the kill switch that's on the steering wheel.
That's a safety feature NASCAR put on these cars when they had some stuck throttle issues, is to give the driver a switch to hit if in a panic situation. It's a button on the steering wheel.
So possibly we'll check and we'll update what's going on with Dave Blaney. Now, in the previous caution flag, talk about having little things happen to you that can cost you a day. Look at what happened to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Coming on the pit road, he comes across, and look at the commitment cone there, the orange cone. He pops it, knocks it over, and that is a no-no. NASCAR said you're going to start tail end on the field, so Earnhardt Jr. had to go back and start dead last a moment ago on the restart. Under caution for the second time a day at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, NASCAR Nextel Cup Series action. Working caution number 2 on the day. The 22 car Dave Blaney stalling on the racetrack. He has gone to pit road. The 2 car of Kurt Busch behind our Chevy pace car. Looking back behind him, Truex, Biffle, Johnson, and Jeff Gordon. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon running 4th and 5th respectively as we are set for the restart. Chevy pace car turns left onto pit road, and Kurt Busch will lead him down, but there may be some issues developing on the 2 car. Let's watch the restart. Kurt Busch trying to pull away. Now talk about some of the guys who said we're just going to set sail and it ain't over till it's over. As you heard Rusty hit the top of the show, that's exactly what the thinking is in the 20 pits for Tony Stewart. The 2-time winner here starting toward the back of the pack, now moving down on the inside. Jamie?
And Doc and Rusty, he said, Tony Stewart said his car feels great. He's moving through the pack, as you guys said. Remember, this guy dominates here. 1 year ago, he was on the outside looking in the chase. He won this race and went on to win at Texas. They plan on doing the same thing today, guys, but he's already been driving the wheels off of it. He just came over the radio and said, I've got blisters on my hands, guys.
Well, if he drives this thing like he did last year when he won this race, I mean, he's going to have a lot of blisters when the race is over. Because that car looks great right now.
Yeah, he led 7 times for 146 laps here a year ago and then went on and won at Texas the following week. Now, we told you there may be some issues developing on the 2 car of Kurt Busch. Let's listen in.
What I think happened was I was full throttle all the way around when you take the restart, all the way through 1 and 2. And going into 3, it actually gargled like it was out of gas. And we might have leaned it out to a point where it might have burned the piston up because I was on the throttle so much. I don't know. We'll see what it does here. Might just be ignition.
And so after saying, well, it was good while it lasted, the crew had Kurt switch over to the backup ignition box that they carry on board. He led the field to the restart, and after a lap came on and said, I guess it was just the ignition box because it's fine now. He continues to lead. We'll keep an ear out for it as the day goes on.
Well, Andy, I've had that same issue happen a couple times when you, on a restart, you take off and you do run it wide open through 1 and 2. And by the time you get to the end of the back straightaway, the float bowls in the carburetor are kind of low, and it actually feels like it's running out of gas.
Because it actually is running out of gas a little bit because you're not flowing as much fuel as you're using right at that point.
Exactly right. It just kind of runs out of fuel now. It looks like it's back up to full song right now, not having a problem. In fact, his last time by, he was a 10th and a half faster than Mark Truex, who's running second. So I think that Miller Lite Deuce is okay.
Let's show you how this works. Let's go down to our ESPN Dish Tech Center and have our crew chief, Tim Brewer, explain it. Timmy?
Thanks, Jerry. What you got here, folks, you got all the ignition panels over here. But when you go to switch the ignition boxes that are over here on the right side, you just simply switch from primary to secondary. That puts the ignition box from primary to secondary and changes the coil also. You got a complete new ignition system there on the 2 car right now. Jerry?
And that certainly fixed the problem, Tim. Thank you very much. It's as simple as flipping a switch.
And, Jerry, if he changes ignition boxes, Andy, there's no reason to change them back. I mean, if things running perfect, hey, leave it alone. Now, I have been known to put it back to the primary and see if that was really what the problem was. He might be messing with that in the next caution.
A lot of times that's just coincidental. You flip that switch and all of a sudden it fixes itself and you go, well, that's what it was. But a lot of times it's not. I mean, some things are just like gremlins in the car.
For more information on ignitions, you can log on to ESPN.com. Search word Tech Center. Jimmy Johnson now being shown in third position. Remember how dominant he was here in the spring. And as you've already heard, from Mike Massaro, this is not the car they won with back in the spring. This is the car they ran last year and the car they had a lot of success with early in the year at Atlanta and California, but still having the same results, just moving his way toward the front.
I don't think these guys have a bad race car in their shop. Seems like everything they bring out, whether it's the old car, new car, any track they go to, they're just fast, so I don't think they have a bad car. Mike?
And guys, they may be a stronger race team than they were a year ago when they won the championship. Speaking with Jimmy Johnson recently, he said last year's title gave him two things. One, the pressure is now gone because he no longer has to answer the question, when are you going to win a championship? And the other thing, maturity and confidence. He now has more belief in his own abilities behind the wheel of that race car, and that certainly can make him more of a dangerous driver than he was a year ago when he walked away with his first Nextel Cup title.
Mike, he won it a year ago, and now he's locked in a tight battle with his mentor and four-time champion Jeff Gordon. We asked Jimmy about battling Jeff Gordon for the title.
I want to beat Jeff. Jeff wants to finish ahead of us. It's just how it is, and that competition is there. But at the end of the day, I'm proud of what the 24's shop is doing, and if I can't be the championship, or can't be the champion and win the championship, I want it to be the 24 car or the 5 cars, so it's a good problem to have.
Rusty, when you're teammates, you want to see your entire team do well, but these guys have a real special relationship. They help each other. They share a lot of things in spite of the fact that they're battling head-to-head down to the wire for a title.
He said many times this weekend he wants to beat Jeff Gordon, that's for sure. And he doesn't really, he's going to be a nice guy. He's going to respect him. He's going to talk to him. They're going to share notes. But, he's racing this guy. And right now it comes down to the championship. And he's got a bullseye on him, that's for sure.
Well, what does Jeff Gordon think about racing his protege, Jimmy Johnson, for the championship?
It's strange to know that within your organization, you have to battle your teammate, and while we get along great, we're also very competitive, and you get torn between being competitive and your friendship, and it's it's definitely challenged that this year, and what I'm proud of is that we've still been able to really maintain that friendship.
Well, they do have good friendships, that's for sure. They used to hang out a lot more before they got married. They were always hanging out in New York City, having fun together, and now their lives have matured a little bit, and boy, they're good race car drivers. They're racing each other big time. You got to respect that.
Speaking of maturing and really coming on as a race car driver, how about the one, Martin Truex Jr. Got his first win at Dover, Delaware back in the spring, and he is driving this car on the bottom of the racetrack, and he is about to give that 2 car something to contend with for the lead.
But he really is. He's worked the top side of that track, Andy, then worked the bottom side. It's kind of like he's searching around.
Well, his car's good top and bottom. I mean, I've noticed him all weekend long. I mean, he's had one of the best cars in every practice session. It looks like his car is good on the top and the bottom. He ran quite a few laps on the top in 1 and 2, and he ran this 2 car down. But here comes another guy, Tony Stewart, that's on the move.
Speaking of running somebody down, Tony Stewart and Rusty, you and I were talking that, hang on just a moment, watch the 1 car here, Martin Truex, try to go to the inside of the 2 for position. That's the battle up front for the lead. And we talked about the time. It's time to do the Hail Marys, time to pull the goalie. And the 1 car of Truex being shown back in 11th in the points as he makes the pass. And then Tony Stewart back in 4th in points. These guys have got to get up on that wheel here today and make a difference in this chase for the Cup.
Oh, yeah, some of these guys like Martin Truex, he might be a little too far behind to get the championship. There's a lot of spots that he can pick up.
42 car again, and they have issues again with that right front just coming apart.
Down, but just below the right.
Montoya bringing out caution for the 2nd time. It is the 3rd caution of the afternoon here, lap 57.
You almost have to wonder if he didn't have something rubbing that right front after they blew that first one. And they made that repair that they didn't have something rubbing that tire.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one. They didn't run many laps this time before it blew, so, that thing really got tore up from that first tire failure. And this time it could be a piece of metal, whatever.
Damage on the right side of J.J. Yaley's car. His Chevy in with some right rear and rear end.
Fix the back, guys. Right, it's killed right there. Let's go to the garage.
Crew Chief Steve Addington talking about just taking it to the garage. It's got so much damage in the rear, they're going to have to work on it up on jack stands.
You don't want to be in the way of these other guys coming into the pits, too, because they're going to be making regular pit stops. pit road will be full here in about a minute or so.
Yeah, that's the most aggravating thing in the world is trying to make a pit stop, and there's a car sitting in the pits, you know, where you want to get to, all tore up and blocking your position to get in. So, yeah, good move to get the thing behind the wall, get it out of the way.
Montoya had that great run. His best oval track run early in his Cup career came here back in the spring when he finished 5th. He since had 3 second-place finishes on ovals. Of course, he had the win on the road course at Infineon in only his 17th career start. Pit road's going to be open. They're getting ready on pit road to bring the leaders down. Waiting on Martin Truex Jr., the leader right now. Kurt Busch in 2nd position. Kyle Busch's guys ready to come across the wall, put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on. Every pit stop critical, folks, as the clock is ticking here in the chase. Let's go down the pit road and Jamie Little.
And Tony Stewart pitted in the back of the field, so you'll see him drop in first. Yesterday they said they're still searching. They couldn't find enough grip on this race car. Well, it's come to life today. They're just going to make a wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Tony Stewart, who's rallied all the way from the back to the front. Dave?
The 5 car gives up position 5 for 4 fresh tires. A reversal of the chassis adjustment. The first time car got a little bit loose on him, Alan.
And air pressure change for Kurt Busch, who looks like most of this race so far fell back to 2nd just before this pit stop. We'll see how he comes off the pit lane. Mike?
And Martin Truex Jr. real happy with this race car. 4 tire change, no adjustments to the chassis. They'll pull out the left front fender, a little bit of a wrinkle there. A good stop for the 1 car.
And the race off, and let's see, right there to the cone. Kurt Busch able to win the race off, but not by much over Martin Truex Jr. Jimmy Johnson's a push. Big gainer there was Denny Hamlin. Biffle losing 3 spots on that exchange on pit road. Now watch how tight the race off is here. Just right there, the 2 car beats the 1 car by about 2.5 feet here. And so Kurt Busch will lead him down to the green flag when we come back to Atlanta Motor Speedway in just a moment. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Stop number 7 in the 2007 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series chase for the Nextel Cup. And the guy who's 3rd in points, Clint Boyer, having issues trying to get on pit road just a moment ago. Watch the stack up as they come in.
You see him get all stacked up, stop right there, and oh, he gets right in the back of Dale Jarrett. Then all of a sudden, the 83 car, you didn't see it in your shot, actually got in the back of Clint Boyer. Take a look at this. Bam, right there in the right rear quarter panel. Bends up the rear bumper.
That cone has caused more trouble today already. You see, one of the reason for this stack up is these guys getting into this cone, and then they all stack up.
Oh, David Stremme came on the outside, and his front bumper got the cone and shot it across in front of some of those guys. Dave on the 07.
And that's the 2nd time this weekend they've had to fix that. Jamie talked with Clint about that in the countdown show. It is important to get that rear of that car good because the arrow here, the way that air hits that, holds that car to the racetrack.
Lap 62, if you just joined our coverage, Kurt Busch driving the 2 cars, led 3 times for 57 laps. Martin Truex back in the 1 car has led 3 laps, and Biffle and Kyle Petty have each led a lap.
The biggest problem here is that Clint Boyer restarted the race in 33rd spot, having to come back in and do some work on that car. So he's got some traffic to deal with and try to stay on the lead lap.
Chase points, 2nd line up there. You see Gordon Johnson. Now Boyer back 206 points back, and he can ill afford to have that happen as you see how well that Jimmy Johnson is running. Trying to sail by the 5 car, but Kyle Busch, his teammate, comes back on the inside. They are battling for 3rd position.
You know, Kyle Busch, he didn't show any patience whatsoever. He's got those fresh tires from that last pit stop, and he just blew right past Johnson on the bottom side of the track and off of turn 2. It's been pretty slick down there.
Left side of your screen, that's the battle for the lead. Truex has had an awfully racy car. His car working really well on the bottom of the racetrack, but so now is the 2 car, who eventually was moving up a little bit. Now Truex moving up in his tracks.
I'm going to remind everybody one more time how strong this 2 car has been on these 1.5-mile racetracks. He won Michigan early in the year, and he was flying to Kansas City before he got caught up in some problems there. But big crash down the back straight. Oh, Martin. David Gilliland. Huge accident.
38 car of Gilliland. Robert Yates' car, heavy contact, and then Mark Martin in the 0-1. Also in it here, bringing out caution for the 4th time today on lap 65.
That gives you a sense of how fast these cars are running down that backstretch. You saw that problem with the 38 car. Mark Martin just looking for a place to go and just ran out of room.
They got real racy off this turn 2. We saw in the restart they were making it 3 wide already. exiting with those fresh tires, a lot of grip. I have to go back and replay shortly here to see what happened. I actually called this one, but you could see a lot of this stuff happening off it too.
Gilliland, who had the third fastest practice timer in the top 5, make it fourth quickest in happy hour, thought he was going to have a really good run here today driving for Robert Yates, but has an issue here. Oh, there's contact there.
He just got behind on his steer, and after having some contact with that Red Bull car, just
like
catch the number. And man, that's a hard lick right there for Mark Martin.
Here's the impact as Martin came across the racetrack. Watch the 38 come right down in front of him.
When Mark catches that right at the last minute, nothing Mark Martin could do. He was committed to the bottom of the track, and guys, when you're running that fast, you just can't turn it right and jump on the brakes that quick.
From Jeff Burton's onboard camera, one of our chasers right behind this incident. Watch what Jeff saw.
Spin in front of you, spin in front of you. Stay down, stay down. Go back up, go back up. There you go. Great job, boss. Great job. Caution's out, guys.
You see that in real time. You see how fast everything happens.
Matt Kenseth onboard camera right in front of him. He's able to get down.
Stay low. Clear, clear high, clear high.
Boy, it happens in a hurry here, doesn't it?
Well, that 38 car just got fishtailing David Gilliland, and he just could not hold on to that thing. And that turn two has been a tough one today. These guys are just getting aggressive in that turn, and David just got loose, couldn't pull that thing down, and pulled it down off of the car, just got loose. And look at Mark Martin. Glad he's okay.
Mark, one of the fan favorites, making his 44th start at Atlanta Motor Speedway. His first start came March of 1982. David Gilliland getting out of the car, talking to the safety crews there, and able to walk down off the banking.
Jerry, you hate that for David. He was really fast in practice yesterday. Had a good quick time. I believe he was fourth fastest in practice yesterday, and he's been in the top 5 all week long. And for him to go out this early, bad day for Robert Yates Racing. The team suffered enough all year.
Red flag to field here to be able to get some of the debris cleaned up on the racetrack, so they'll have them all stop over there. As we will show you again, this violent impact, hard impact, over 190 miles per hour, bringing out caution number 4 on lap 65. David Gilliland's Ford comes around, and here comes the Chevy of Mark Martin, heavy contact. And we are under caution once again. Now red flag. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Guys in college football trying to hang on to the top spot. Guys in NASCAR trying to hang on to the top spot here as the chase winds down. They're rolling behind the Chevy pace car. Kurt Busch, Martin Truex, and Kyle Busch. The Busch boys have Truex surrounded as we check in down in the pits where Jamie Little is standing by with Tony Stewart's crew chief.
Greg Zipadelli, that is, and Tony Stewart on a tear, gone from 30th up to 7th. And yesterday, they said they were still searching for that magic touch, Zippy. So what did you do to this car?
We just changed a bunch of little things this morning. We freed it up from the way we were yesterday afternoon. This is Home Depot's backyard. We want to have a good showing for him. Tony's done a great job. This, Home Depot Chevrolet. We've gotten top 10. We just need to get in the top 5 now and see if we can stay up there. We need just a little bit of something, but we'll just keep working on it. Be in good shape.
And so far, that tire wear on the 20 car looking okay. But let's make the transition here. The future of Joe Gibbs Racing. Joey Logano, Busch Series East champion at 17 years old. Joey, when are we going to see you make your debut in the Nationwide Series?
We announced this weekend that we're going to be May 31st out in Dover, so we're looking forward to that. Not sure how many races we're going to run yet. We're still looking for some sponsorships, so that should be pretty exciting.
Of course, the Nationwide Series is what we call the Busch Series now, Doc, but he is the future, and people are watching him already as he stands here watching Tony Stewart. Doc?
Jamie, talented young man. I spoke with him yesterday. He turns 18 in the middle of May, and 1 week later we are being told that we're going to try to put him in a Busch car at Dover, where he won, by the way. That's where he won the Busch East Championship this year. And I know you had cars running in that series, Rusty. What a talented series it is, and what a talented young driver he is.
Oh, he's absolutely fantastic. Kid's really good. He turns 18, and man, when I turned 18, put me in a car right now. I don't want to wait.
Future very bright for a young man. Future very bright for a lot of drivers here trying to win a title. We'll have the green flag when we come back to Atlanta.
Welcome back to the Pep Boys 500, your recap in the FedEx Race Rundown. Kurt Busch won here in 2002, but in his last 7 here outside the top 10, but he took control early, passing the Polster to Greg Biffle.
Boy, he had a strong hot rod, reminiscent of the Michigan and Dover, but he seemed to have a few troubles coming forward, Susie, but he was flying early.
He's held the lead for 63 laps, and we talked a lot about tire trouble, going to be an issue here while Pablo Montoya felt the brunt of that.
Our own Andy Petrie, he predicted this tire trouble was going to happen, and lo and behold, Montoya runs over something and cuts down a right front tire.
When it happens here, it happens fast. Lap 65, huge crash. Mark Martin gets hit hard.
Boy, that is a tremendous impact right there. It's too bad for both of those guys who are trying to have good runs today.
Doc Cream rises to the top. Only 3 chasers started in the top 10, but look how many are there now.
Exactly, Susie. 9 in the top 10 right now, make it 8 in the top 10 as they shuffle here going on the restart. Lap 69 of 325. Kurt Busch, Truex, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson gets passed by Denny Hamlin. And now he tries to pass him back. There's the 20 car, Tony Stewart. Back in 30th positions where he started. Stewart now being shown all the way up in 6th position.
Yeah, we're 3 wide down the front straightaway right now. That turn 4 create a lot of passing on the top side of the racetrack, Andy, and that we're going to see that a lot today. But boy, they really stack up off of turn 2 at the start of that race.
Yes, it's kind of hard to stay out of troubles. That's a good place to be, is up on the top side of the racetrack. Try to stay out of this hornet's nest.
We showed you the hard impact a moment ago with Mark Martin in the 38 car. Let's check up where Mike is caught up with Mark.
And Doc, he's just come out of the care center, and it was a vicious hit, Mark. How much of that did your body absorb?
Well, I don't know. What kind of question is that?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. David's fine. That's the main thing. It's disappointment, but that is what happens sometimes. I should have missed it. I told David I should have missed him, man. You're going so fast, and I couldn't see him in the smoke, and I really didn't feel comfortable driving into the smoke, not knowing where he was. So I tried to get under him, and he came out of the smoke, coming to the inside. And usually if you go high here, a lot of times it works out, but that didn't really work out for me. I just didn't feel like going into that smoke at that kind of speed was going to be safe. So we're both okay, and that's what matters.
And he's absolutely right, Doc. He's okay, and that's the main point.
When you're blinded in that smoke, it can get very scary in a hurry. Now, there has been some scary passing back here. Here's the 9 car of Casey Kane trying to go by. Look at Earnhardt Jr. way up high right behind Tony Stewart.
And, man, they get a big run off that turn right there. Right up on the back end of the 20 car, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And, boy, Andy, that thing he is loose. That car is jumping all over the place.
Back end of that car is definitely tail happy. He's still driving it, man. He's up on the wheel, driving hard.
See the car working back and forth, kind of sliding around on him. You take a look at Carl Edwards. Edwards taking a peek on the bottom of the track right here, trying to use the bottom lane.
I think Edwards is saying, let me get in front of this 8 car, man. I think he's going to wreck if I can get by him.
Earnhardt Jr. back up in that line he loves so much. Very high on the racetrack, trying to go sailing by the 20 car. Stewart for position.
Junior's car might be twitchy, but it's pretty fast.
This 3 wide stuff, I don't think it's going to look much longer. These guys got to get back 2 wide at least, especially off of turn 2.
That's what I love about this racetrack, though. You can run 3 wide all the way around it, to both corners. Plenty of room to race on this track.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we're seeing this good racing like this is because of the tire wear. The tires wear, and it creates a lot of haves and have-nots when that happens.
Looking back from Jeff Gordon's onboard camera at the 8 car, moving right up behind Gordon is Earnhardt. Dave.
And he hopes to be one of the halves today. He's had it most of the weekend and really pretty good at the start of the race here. No changes to the chassis, no air pressure adjustments on the first stop for tires. They did pit under one of those subsequent cautions for fuel so they can go a little bit further on the fuel.
Remember, he had that cone violation. He hit the commitment cone coming on the pit road. Had to start all the way tail in on the field, so he's now driven this thing in a hurry by virtue of some other pit stops all the way back up to 8th position, just behind the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Alan?
And talking about Jeff Gordon, Doc, this car's problems are on the opening laps after a restart. Jeff has talked about the fact that the short run, these first few laps, he's losing positions. Then his car levels out with the rest of the field. So as we get caution flags and they continue to work on this car, we'll see if that condition improves throughout the race.
Well, a lot of the times, at the beginning of the race, cars are real loose, and as they get going, they get neutralized. They start running again, and the start of these races are the touch-and-go times, Andy. The air pressure's got to come up, and drivers are holding on for dear life.
Well, one thing that's going to happen is the racetrack's going to change, too, and these guys are going to have to keep up with that. And hopefully that's going to help for Jeff. It's going to help his car when it does change.
Here's a couple of teammates at 29 and 31. Now, a moment ago, the 29 and the 41 of Kevin Harvick and Reed Sorensen. You know, there are close calls all around this racetrack, and there's no such thing as a light hit at 190 miles an hour. Watch there. Now, watch the 29 and 41. Whoa! Hang on.
I mean, that was a good job by Harvick.
And that was a good job because they got loose going at the corner. I mean, they bounced off each other, and look at that. It's like Kevin come off the wall down against the 41 of Reed Sorensen. Don't know if he just got loose or he was mad at him or what happened, but he almost had a crash out of that one.
Harvick had driven this car from, he was the worst starting spot among the chasers, starting back in 34th, has now driven this car all the way up now into 18th position. 99, Carl Edwards, by the way, who did not lock up the Busch Series title at the marathon in Memphis last night. We heard that the Memphis race, by the way, just ended.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot.
25 caution flags, and Carl Edwards finished 25th in the NASCAR Busch Series. He will go on to Texas and try to wrap up that Busch title. Right now, he's trying to worry about a Cup championship moving in now on the 24 car of Gordon. That is for 9th position. Jamie?
Yeah, Doc, he's had some disappointing days, that's for sure, leading into this race. And I talked to his crew chief, Bob Osborne. You know, they got their first wins together as a team in 2005 right here in Atlanta. And I asked Bob, you know, if he's noticing a difference in his driver, all these things that his competitors are saying about him. And he said, you know, Carl doesn't have that other side these other drivers are saying he has. He said he's a human being and he gets angry and he made a mistake. He shouldn't have done what he did, but he's back on track and they're looking to win this race. They're back in the same car they won that first ever Cup race with 2 years ago. Doc?
You see Martin Truex working the bottom side of the track, trying to get back past Kurt Busch. And we saw this earlier where he would work the bottom, he'd work the top. And the two-car looked like it was backing up a little bit, and Martin Truex wasn't.
Well, it looks like Martin Truex is just trying to find a place where Kurt Busch is not running, because we've seen this one car run the bottom of the racetrack there in 3 and 4. He just tried the high side to see if he could make something work up there. Didn't look like it worked too good for him.
Martin Truex trying to hang on. The car bobbling a little bit, Mike.
And Martin Truex Jr. really was looking forward to this race. Said this is where his chase is set to begin. Very happy with his race car, and he really seems to be enjoying himself out there right now. Let's listen in.
Surrounded by bushes. It's like a little forest. Yeah, I feel like I'm in the woods deer hunt. Surrounded by bushes and trees.
And, of course, he's talking about Kurt and Kyle Busch. Right now, Martin Truex really enjoying this new set of tires. His car really seems to come to life with fresh rubber. And he told his crew chief, Bono Mannon, not too long ago, keep that in mind at the end of the race when it comes down to pit strategy. We may want to take on fresh rubber no matter what.
And, Mike, for the folks who may not have caught that, the little forest comment was because he was surrounded by bushes. He had a bush in front and a bush behind him on the racetrack. And by the way, before we forget, David Gilliland, the good news, David Gilliland, who had that hard impact a moment ago, treated and released at the infield care center. He's okay.
Okay, the guy flying right now is the 8-car Dale Jr. I'm looking at his lap times, about 1/10 and a half to 2/10 faster than anybody. And Andy, he's got his comfort zone again. He's dead on top of the racetrack on both ends of this racetrack.
That is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s comfort zone, is right up next to that wall. And he loves running up there. We saw him do that at Lowe's Motor Speedway. He likes that groove, and if he can get that thing working, he'll be coming to the front.
Said in the papers this week, I'm ticked off I didn't make the chase, and dadgum right, that all you talk about is guys in the chase in the newspapers, and you don't mention, only the guy you mention in the paper on Monday is the guy who won the race, and the folks in the chase said, folks, that's why I want to win a race. I want to get mentioned on Monday in the newspaper. So obviously he is trying to drive this 8-car. Plus he would like to win one for DEI before the year is out. Folks, he moves to Hendrick in 2008. 85 laps complete. Kurt Busch, our leader.
ESPN's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Napa Auto Care Centers. Napa, get the good stuff.
We welcome you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm Brett Musburger on a beautiful Sunday afternoon down here in Atlanta. 500 hard-charging miles, and the two leaders in the chase for the Nextel Cup are right where they started. Jeff Gordon been keeping an eye on his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Johnson 44 points out of that lead. Clint Bowyer back in third at 161 points. So Gordon and Johnson doing a superb job of avoiding any kind of trouble. As for the man who's on top, driving Rusty Wallace's old number 2 car, Mr. Kurt Busch. And let's go check in on the leaders. Let's start first with Alan Bestwick. Alan.
Yeah, Brent hoping to have a golden day in that 2 car carrying the different paint scheme today. Kurt has led most of the race. His crew has held or gotten the lead on all the stops, but leading laps has not been the problem for this team at this racetrack. Leading the right lap, looking to put together the complete race today and lead the last lap. Mike.
And Martin Truex Jr. holding the 2nd spot on the racetrack right now. Very happy with his race car and says he's searching for different lines each and every lap. That's what he really enjoys about the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He says this place gives you options, and he's taking advantage of them right now. Dave?
Kyle Busch trying to win in Atlanta with a 2-year-old chassis, but crew chief Alan Gustafson told me they put a brand new body on it with much better side force in the wind tunnel. That's important here because these cars are a little more tilted in yaw when they go through these corners. It's worked well so far, even though he's back to 4th from 3rd on that last restart. Mike.
Jimmy Johnson running 5th, and plenty of reason to pull for the 48 car today. All of his winnings will go to the American Red Cross Relief Fund for the wildfires out in Southern California. That will also be matched by Lowe's and by Bruton Smith. Right now, Jimmy Johnson very happy with his race car running in the top 5. Alan?
Jeff Gordon started the race in 8th spot, ran as high as 4th, faded as low as 9th. Now he's picked up 2 spots in the last 3 laps and is running 6th. Struggling with the car on short runs, but now that we've had a little extended green flag run, his lap times are pretty close to what the leader's running. Mike?
Denny Hamlin running inside the top 10, but not at all happy with his race car right now. Looking for some forward bite and a little bit snug on throttle. He can do better. They'll be adjusting that race car as this race wears on. Jamie?
And Carl Edwards started 16th. He's running 10th right now. That's the highest he's been all day. He said his car is good. He's just tight, tight, tight from the beginning, and it has not changed. Now, both pit stops he came in, those right side tires were corded. So Carl Edwards got to watch that tire wear because some of these other drivers, like Tony Stewart, who do not have wear on their tires. Tony Stewart right behind him. Speaking of him, he lost some positions after that last restart. He came over the radio very frustrated with his spotter saying, I need you to help me out. When I have 3 wide, I need your guys' help. He got shuffled back. Tony Stewart running as high as 6th today. He shuffled back in 12th, but he's got a car this team believes can win.
Burton has been struggling with grip in the 31 car since the start of this race. They've been working on it, making a lot of changes, and even though the front end doesn't appear to be responding quite the way Jeff wants it, he's been holding steady, trying to get this car right near the latter part of the race. Alan?
Kevin Harvick started this race back in 34th position. He has raced his way as high as 14th in the field and has settled back down to the 19th spot. Harvick had some contact earlier and damaged the right front fender on his car. That was repaired on the lap 59. Pit stops, he says. The front end is sliding now. Dave?
And Alan, remember that stack up on pit road that affected the 07 car? They worked to repair the right side of that car, but the right rear took just a little bit of damage. Basically, crew chief Gil Martin said it sort of undid the repairs that we had made overnight on the 07. Right now, spinning the tires off turn 4 was the report from the driver on lap 95.
17 car, Matt Kenseth had engine issues on Friday. Had to start shotgun on the field, the back of the pack. 42nd and had trouble on the front straightaway. The 40 car, David Strimmy, slides through the grass and somehow got it gathered back up.
And boy, did a great job. He kept from spinning that car, gathered it back up, kept it going straight. And Andy, when you come off of turn 4 running close to 180 miles an hour and you spin it and keep on going straight somehow.
Yeah, you pull that stunt and get away with it at Atlanta at 190 miles an hour. You're pretty lucky or pretty good, one or the other.
You got that right. I think this kid's pretty good. That was one great job he did holding on to it.
David Strimmy still has a roof flap deployed there on the left side. He'll be coming down pit road. Caution now for the 5th time today, coming out on lap 98. Strimmy doing a heck of a job. By the way, looking for a cup ride for 2008. They made an announcement today that he will be in a Busch car, a second Busch car next year. As you watch what happened to him, watch him coming off turn 4. He just slides sideways right by the camera.
We heard a lot of these guys talking about they needed forward bite. That's the rear tires to hook up to the racetrack. It looks like he just lost that rear grip. Spins the car down the grass. Boy, he's real lucky there. Didn't hit anything.
Yeah, he got loose on late exit, it looked like. Looked like Dale Jarrett was behind him. I don't know if aerodynamically got him loose or not, but
This old racetrack just lost a lot of grip over the years. You see how gray the asphalt is? That just tells you that it doesn't have as much grip as that real black asphalt you've seen on some of these newer racetracks.
Take a look at those skid marks. I mean, pretty clear marks all the way down to the grass. I know that Bruton Smith didn't like his grass being torn up. And, you know, talking about Bruton Smith, you got to hand it to this fella for matching the funds that Jimmy Johnson did for the fire victims in California.
Coming on the pit road, here comes Kurt Busch. He will lead him down for another pit stop. We'll get on to Jamie Little.
And Casey King making his way into his pit box. He's getting racy. All of a sudden, he fell back a little bit. He wants a track bar adjustment. They're going to make a round wedge adjustment, 4 tires. Let's go to Dave.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. penalized earlier, optimized now. No chassis adjustments on that 8 car, 4 fresh tires, Alan.
Bottom left frame, Kurt Busch, the leader, of trouble on the left front, dropped the lug nut.
And they're sending her out, Mike. And Martin Truex Jr. said he ran the car a lot harder that run, trying to get the lead. Consequently, it got a little bit tight, making air pressure adjustment and a 4-tire change on the 1 car.
Race off the pit road, and look at the lost positions there for Busch. Kurt Busch. Biffle goes up 4 spots. You see Jimmy Johnson back 4 positions all the way back to 9th spot. Pit stops taking place under the 5th caution flag of the afternoon. How about getting it done on pit road? Jackman Brian Hootie Chase out of York Beach, Maine. He's a competitive cyclist. Boy, he is pedaling hard with this jack, watching the front tire and the rear tire. Getting it done as they come around and make a 4-tire change on the 8 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Coming back to Atlanta with a green flag in just a moment. Monday Night Football on ESPN continues next week from Invesco Field at Mile High. Can Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers roll out of Denver with a victory against Jay Cutler and the Denver Broncos? Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8 Eastern time. Coverage begins 6:30 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown. Mike Jaws, Tony Michelle, and our own Susie Colbert will be there to cover the action on Monday night. Now, we told you the 2-car had troubles. He came in as the leader, came out in 12th position. Watch the trouble with the tire change.
The rule is NASCAR says you have to have all 5 lug nuts on the car. They don't say they all have to be tight, but they all have to be on there. See, this guy, front tire changer, loses a nut. He puts the nut back on there. He doesn't hit it with a wrench, but he does put the lug nut back on the car.
Green flag waving back at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The 1 car, Martin Truex, setting sail. Who's right behind him? His teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Rusty, you were watching these 2 cars a moment ago before the caution came out.
Yeah, it really was, Jerry. These 2 teammates were flying. I mean, almost identical speeds. The problem was that Kurt Busch was running the same speed, too, but all 3 of those guys are definitely the class of the field.
Well, Kurt Busch got a little work to do now after that loose lug or that drop lug nut. He's going to have to pass a lot of cars to get back up here, so these DEI guys are going to have a little fun up front.
His brother Kyle Busch in the 5 car running down on the bottom of the racetrack, battling for 4th position with the 24 car, his teammate Jeff Gordon.
On these restarts, these guys just tear the track up right in the bottom. Take a look at Kyle Busch working that rear bumper of Greg Biffle.
This car's flying through the middle of the corner.
Taking that baby to the front. Right on the bottom. I liked it. Well, Kyle is so aggressive. You know, won the truck race here yesterday. Looked really good in that truck. And the same thing with his NASCAR next to a Cup car today.
Ticker at the top of the screen. You see our race ticker, then our chase ticker. Boyer now 212 points back, by the way. He's being shown in 35th position as you watch the 5 car. There's Boyer, the 07, being shown in 35th spot. Folks, there's only 36 cars on the lead lap. Allmendinger behind him. He's right behind Joe Nemechek. Or he makes the pass on Nemechek now to 34th position.
Yeah, Boyer's just stuck back in this traffic right now. Can't get any speed out of that car. The last time by, Boyer was a 31.06. That's compared to a 29.90, the leader, so off the pace a bit.
Kurt Busch there in the 2 car has led 3 times for 95 laps. Most laps he's ever led at Atlanta Motor Speedway, including back when he won here in 2002. Here comes the 48 car, a couple of chasers, 48, and you're riding along with the 17 of Kenza as they are right now 10th and 11th position.
You know, Andy, that dreaded arrow push we hear about all the time where the car gets behind another car and he can't turn. I'm interested to see what Kurt Busch could do. He's been up there dominating this thing.
Well, the one thing he's got in his advantage here is this racetrack's got about 3 lanes you can run in. You don't have to run right in the tracks of the car in front of you, so maybe he'll be able to pick his way by these guys and keep some air on the front of his car. That's the only thing he's got going for him right now.
I know if my guys had a bad pit stop and make me mad, I'd drive my brains out.
Well, that's worth a couple of tenths.
It sure is. I'd say Kurt Busch doing the same thing right now.
Tony Stewart being very aggressive, and he has since the drop of the green flag. Remember, he started back in 30th spot. He had a shot on the inside on the bottom of the racetrack on the 48, and now Johnson just drives right by him on the high groove.
Called momentum, Jerry. A lot of momentum on the top side of the racetrack. It makes that motor feel like it's got more power. Look how he's pulling away down the front straightaway here, Johnson over Stewart.
Sometimes it takes all the way to the end of the straightaway for that to come into effect. But you see Tony Stewart, that 20 car, he's making that bottom groove work really well through the corner. That momentum's just a hard thing to overcome when you hit these straightaways.
Now, Matt. Go ahead, Jerry.
5 chasers right together there as you watch this battle. Jimmy Johnson in the 40, they're 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th with Johnson, Kansas, Stewart, Edwards, and Jeff Burton also there in the 31 car. More on Tony Stewart. Let's check in with Jamie Leonard.
Well, Doc, when Tony Stewart was asked about his championship hopes as he sits in 4th, he said, you know, it's Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson that are going to dictate the outcome for me. He said, all I can do right now is beat these guys. And if you remember to the race in March here, it was Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson down to the wire, and he passed Jimmy Johnson with 3 to go after leading 121 laps. So we'll have to wait until the end to see if it can shake down and Tony can bring home a win.
What I love about this track is it always comes down to the last lap, it seems like here. You never know who's going to win this race until they come off turn 4.
17 in the 48, trying to move underneath the 21 car of awesome Bill Elliott. Bill, a 5-time winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Talk about great history here. Bill has so much great history. You see Kurt Busch going by. This is, by the way, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. This Carl Edwards, the 99 car there on the right of your screen, being shown in 11th position.
Boy, Tony Stewart's in trouble right now, guys. His lap times are way off the pace. He got way high on the exit of turn 4 and getting passed by almost everybody right now. So, let's see what's going on with this car.
If he was high, it's usually something wrong because he's been running the bottom of the racetrack pretty much this whole race.
The car, and he's looking like it's got a low tire maybe. He's just really holding on to this car, and he's just come out of pit stop, so maybe it's a bad set of tires, not to his liking, or adjustment that was too much.
Tony Stewart having his issues. What about the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dave?
Jerry, he just radioed in, I may have a tire going down, and then he radioed back, I'm going to try to stick it out here. Not the greatest idea on one of the fastest tracks on the circuit. He's wiggling pretty good now. Cars are passing him. We'll see if he hits pit road soon.
Oh, man, let's put tires on it. Don't take a chance.
That's a good move right there. Needs to get that car in here because that's, not going to get better. Only thing that can happen here is to get worse and blow out and hit the wall.
Yeah, he had moved in on the 1 car. His teammate Truex about 4 car lengths back trying to chase the lead, and now he's chasing a tire going down as he's on pit road for an unscheduled stop here on lap 114. Coming toward you, Dave Burns.
Now, how much more resolve do we need to give him, Doc? Penalized earlier, drove from the back of the pack. Now going to take off 4 tires, put on 4 fresh ones just to make sure they've got the right one. He didn't call out which tire he thought it might be, so this is the safe move to make sure they get the problem taken care of. As the leaders are coming out at 4, he will lose a lap this time by. And finishing up, now getting off pit road slowly, so he doesn't get another penalty.
Let me know as soon as you can.
Yeah, he wants to know which tire it was, which one was flat, as soon as they know. The good news is for Junior is he's got 200 laps to make this up.
And there's not that many cars a lap down, Andy. You're exactly right. He's got a strong enough car that he could probably get this thing back awful fast.
All these guys are checking these tire pressures right now to let Junior know which one it was, try to figure out what the problem was. They're checking the temperature of the surface of the tire with that little probe. Here comes Carl Edwards.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. Edwards, that's 9th and 10th, right behind them about 10 or 12 car lengths. The 31 car of Jeff Burton now starting to run a little bit better. They're side by side as Edwards tries to make the pass on the high side.
I've got to think that Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon have to be a little bit on defense right here because you got Clint Boyer back there in 30th spot having his problems. And the only thing that could come out good for them to run hard, but nothing really good comes to running hard now. They need to get a good finish. And if they can just stay in contention, then they can do that towards the end. So I see Jimmy Johnson maybe just riding a little bit.
In the chase, top of your screen there, you see the race ticker and the chase ticker. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, now 84 points back. You see Boyer, how far back he is right now, over 200 points, and the others behind him, Kyle Busch, Stewart, and Edwards. By the way, Boyer back in 30th position. So maybe not trying to, if you can't win the race, don't lose the chase. A little bit of defense being played maybe by Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. 118 laps are in the books. Martin Truex Jr. the leader. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC station. We welcome you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series action here in Hampton, Georgia. Aerial coverage courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Our leader, Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car. 3 consecutive DNFs at Atlanta, then back in the spring here, got his first top 10 finish, and right now he is setting sail, but there may be issues inside the car. Let's listen into his radio.
Raising my right foot, getting real high.
Yeah, you've seen it a lot with this R07. Keep looking into it. We've been using different insulation and been trying to make it better. Your foot blower's on, the right foot blower.
He's talking about the R07 engine. Andy, this engine, evidently, the way the exhaust system is on it must be closer to the floorboards, creating more heat or something.
It could be making some more heat internally, also coming through those pipes, and it makes it even harder to guard against that heat.
Well, how do you prevent the heat? What kind of insulation do you put in the floorboard? For more on that, let's go down to our Chevy cutaway car and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. This is a normal insulation that we use in the floorboard of the car, but mind you, his foot's setting about right here, about 3 inches above the exhaust pipes. But I'm with Andy. I think the engines are putting out a lot more heat. So what am I going to do before the race? I'm going to literally take safety wire and wrap this insulation over the collector, deterring the heat coming up and getting to the driver's foot, as well as the blowers. Yeah, you can put fans in there, but keeping the insulation and the heat under the car, that's the better way of keeping the driver cool throughout the day here in Atlanta. Jerry?
Tim, great explanation. And when a driver burns his foot, some of the worst injuries I've seen are these drivers' feet. They're third-degree burns, Rusty, and it takes months to heal.
But Jerry, it's so painful, it's unreal. And you got to drive with this your toes because the side of your foot is so burned up, it's unreal. And, man, it takes weeks to heal that thing up. And it is Martin Truex, I feel for him right now because he's probably in pain, and he's only 127 laps in this race.
For more information on insulation, you can log on to ESPN.com. Search word Auto Tech.
You know, and another thing Tim was saying about the blower, a lot of times they put electric blowers actually blowing cold air on the top of your feet in the car.
And that does take away the heat, and it'll help take care of it once it gets there. But like Tim said, the best way to handle that is never to let that heat get inside that cockpit. And it's hard to do because these cars make a ton of heat. When you make 800, 900 horsepower like these cars do, I mean, there's a lot of heat coming through those exhaust pipes.
Well, I'll tell you, our Tony Stewart, now we're watching right here, he's getting worse and worse, guys. He's almost a second and a half off the pace. Jamie, what's going on down there?
Well, guys, Tony Stewart slipped back quite a bit. He lost quite a few positions. He came over the radio and said his car is just so loose. The handling has gone away, and what he wants is a spring rubber taken out of that left rear. Now, Rusty, you can explain it better than I can, but he basically just wants that car to turn better, right?
Well, he's trying to get he's so loose right now, it's unreal. And so we're watching him, Andy and I, he's getting out of throttle real early, going at the corners. And that last pit stop, whatever they did, it really hurt the car real bad. So they need a pit stop desperately to fix this thing right now.
He is 27th, and folks, another chaser that's trying to win it is right behind him, the 07 of Clint Boyer in 28th position. Both these guys struggling big time. Dave?
Yeah, Doc, he had that damage on pit road, restarted deep in the field, drove his way back up into the low 20s, but then on this last pit stop, they had to spend an extra amount of time on pit road to adjust the right rear shock on that car. Really, really loose race car for Clint, so they put 3 clicks into the shock. That took extra time. He restarted way back on this last run, way back, still checking my notes, 34th, so working his way forward from that spot.
Well, I tell you, a loose race car here can get you lapped in a hurry. And you see these guys right here way behind the leader, Martin Truex. Biggest thing they've got to do is try to stay on the lead lap.
And we heard Jamie Little talking about a spring rubber in the left rear. If they pulled that spring rubber out on that last pit stop, that could have caused this whole entire problem. You take a spring rubber out of the left rear to try to make the car turn better, but if it doesn't do that, it's going to make the car really loose.
And that's one thing. He's probably wanting that spring rubber back in the left rear to take care of the problem that he's having. You see Jeff Gordon right here sliding back just a little bit. You got to think, I brought this up about Jimmy Johnson. I think these guys, there's nothing, that they can do to gain by just going as hard as they can. They're probably just getting together and saying, hey, let's don't run each other's brains out right here. Let's just kind of cruise and get towards the end, and then we'll try to get us a good finish. But the one thing they don't want to do at this point of the season is do something that's going to take them out of the race and maybe blow up an engine or do something stupid. So these guys have got to do things to stay on defense.
Well, Andy, I totally agree with you. One thing that's going on right now probably is the tire wear's got to be getting better little by little. And so right now, if you overdrive the car on a green racetrack, we could see a tire problem again. But Gordon's pretty smart. He probably knows that.
Well, what's going on with Jeff Gordon? Why don't we check in his pits with Alan Bester?
Doc, the best description I can make of it, think of a seesaw or a teeter-totter that you might see in a kid's playground that balances from one end to the other. As you work on a race car to get one end of the car's balance or grip better, you might change the grip on the other end. As Jeff Gordon's team has worked on this 24 car's front-end grip, the back-end grip has gone away on the car, so Jeff is sliding in the corners. He says he has no drive up off the corner because the back end is not hooked up anymore. That's why this 24 car's backing up. He's lost about 6 spots since the restart.
So in other words, you got Fat Albert on the front of that seesaw and Pee Wee Herman on the back, but he's got all that grip on the front of that 24 car, not a whole lot on the rear end. That's got to make it tough on him.
Well, one thing that makes it tough is these slick racetracks, when you're trying to find that balance, sometimes that's a broad balance. You can kind of go across the tight to loose, and it's not that touchy. This racetrack is pretty touchy. To get it just right is very difficult. Most of the time, it's either one or the other, and you just got to try to deal with it and keep adjusting on the car and try to hit that perfect balance.
Well, Andy, you got to wonder right now, he's got some debris on his grill, which creates more downforce in the front of the car. The car could be running a little bit loose because of pinning the front down with that extra front end taped off.
It'll definitely change the balance a little bit, but more so, I would be worried about the engine temperature with that thing on there, especially when he's leading the points right here.
5 car, Kyle Busch being shown in second position. You see the 9 car, Casey Kane, right behind him. Casey Kane, awfully good. He was the fastest car in happy hour on Saturday. Very, very good in the garage area. And there's a reason this 9 car is so good. They made a significant change, a brand new body on this Dodge.
Yeah, I was talking to Ray Abraham in a garage area on Friday, Jared. He said, Rusty, we put a new body on this car we're really proud of, and the wind tunnel looks great. And yesterday in final practice, Casey Kane had the fastest time. So this team's got a little extra step in him, Andy.
Yeah, I talked to Ray Abraham this morning in the garage area. Said they'd found some things, and in this body in particular, that have changed, their whole perspective, and that they think that they maybe missed early in the season.
Second gear, 4,000.
All right, they can't wait any longer on the 20 car. They got to bring him on pit road, losing too much time and just too much of a risk here. So here comes Tony Stewart in. You heard them say that it was a car that would not handle.
Put on the brake.
Jamie?
And that's exactly it. Doc and Tony Stewart came over the radio and said, we got a problem, guys. I need to come in. I need tires. On top of getting that right, they're actually going to take the spring rubber out of the right rear so he can turn better. It was getting so loose going away. He said, I cannot run the pace with those leaders. Let's see if this helps, Doc.
Well, he probably pulled the spring rubber out of the right rear. Don't mean to correct you, Jamie. I'm sorry, but he's probably trying to tighten the car up. If he pulls the rubber out of the right rear, it's going to make the car tighter on entry, tighter on exit. Andy, that's a pretty good adjustment.
Yeah, but sometimes those things don't do just what you think, and taking that rubber out may help it may not. We'll just have to see now watching his lap time.
Pulling the rubber spacer out, which goes in between the springs. Changes the rating on the spring in the car, and is hoping that will help it because the car was just so doggone loose he couldn't drive it. Here's the 9 car that has gone at a sail by Kyle Busch. The 2 car, speaking of Bushes, Kurt Busch and the Denny Hamlin, they are battling for 4th position, and Kurt Busch will take that spot away.
And Kurt is on his march back up to the front from that bad pit stop all the way up to the 4th position right now. And hey, we're watching lap times again, and he's got the fastest lap time of the field. So he's chasing that 1 car, a Martin Truex, trying to get the lead. He is flat flying right now, that 2 car is.
Top 5, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, and the guy they're chasing right here, Martin Truex Jr. Truex has now led twice for 41 laps. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
ESPN's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by the Ford F-150. Built Ford tough. And Coca-Cola. Thanks for drinking.
Back on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here, just about a half an hour southeast of Atlanta, Hampton, Georgia, the site of Atlanta Motor Speedway. and the site of stop number 7 in our 2007 chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Martin Truex Jr. is our leader in the 1 car. There is Martin. He has led twice for 48 laps. Behind him is the 2 car now of Kurt Busch, who has led the most laps today, 3 different times for 95 laps. And Busch, guys, is on the move there in that gold number 2.
He has been so smooth throughout the day. He had that bad pit stop, got behind, but that thing is just sailing. Take a look at his brother right there, Kyle Busch. He's got another fast car also. Busch brothers running 2nd and 3rd right now.
And behind him will be the 9 car of Casey Kane, who won here from the pole. The last driver to win here from the pole, by the way, in the spring of 2006. Kane is 4th, and Denny Hamlin is 5th. Now, take a look at our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. Which top 20 winless driver, winless this year driver, by the way, will get their first win here today? Will it be Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, Bobby Labonte driving for the King, Richard Petty, or will it be Casey Kane? Now, you can text the word crew to 191 on your wireless phone and send in your answer. The results will be shown later on in the race. Let's go down to Alan Bestwick on Jeff Gordon.
You know, look, trouble on the racetrack.
Oh, hold on, Alan. Trouble on the racetrack here, and we've got an issue as a caution will be weighed once again. David Reagan's car.
Didn't hit bad. I think got a 1 tire down right front me.
Now let's check in on Jeff Gordon.
Well, we were talking about whether or not Jeff was cruising before. Listen to the emotion in his voice on the radio just a few laps ago.
I'm not hearing anybody. Shannon, I got a copy on you. Crashing out here every lap. I'm wondering how long before we pit. Sure, but I told you. You said we were a hell of a lot better before, so let's go more that direction and then some.
They were just a few laps away from making a green flag pit stop, so this caution a break for Jeff, who had slipped back about 9 positions under this last green flag run.
Just have to put the wedge in it, get something else to keep you in the corner.
David Reagan bringing out the caution flag. We'll show you what happened a moment ago, then we'll get back and talk a little bit more about Jeff Gordon. Here's the 6 car.
Looks like he maybe had a tire go down, got up against the wall. He was lucky he was that high on the racetrack, so he didn't hit the wall that hard. But he does have a flat right front.
Working on the right front of the car, Jimmy Finnig and some of the Roush Fenway crew trying to get a young man who's 2nd in the Rookie of the Year point standings, just 19 points back of Juan Pablo Montoya. Casey Kane's guys on the wall. Remember, we told you, there's look at Kyle Busch's guys. Could this be the day that we see some of the issues begin to come up? Could it be a stumbling day for Jeff Gordon or Jimmy Johnson? And Gordon, obviously, as you heard Alan Bestwick say, has some issues. He was not good in happy hour. 25th fastest because of a car was sensitive and would get loose in a hurry in happy hour, and now not comfortable at all with the car here thus far. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
And Casey Kane, one of those winless drivers. Could he end that streak here? He's coming in. He said he's losing some grip off the corner. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Casey Kane. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Just a little bit tight for Kyle Busch right now. Air pressure adjustment to one of those 4 tires they're putting on. Alan?
Kurt Busch 12th to 2nd under that green flag run. This crew got him the lead from 2nd on a pit stop earlier. 4-tire change, no change of light.
Martin Truex Jr. a little bit loose, but he says do not tighten it up. I like it the way it is. Aside from the 4 tires and fuel, they gave him something else on this stop, a booty for his feet.
There's the chase, the race off of pit road. Truex hangs on. Kenseth, great stop for Robbie Reiser and company. Gains 4 spots. Hamlin up 1. Casey Kane back 3 positions. Bobby Labonte up 1. Now, what about Matt Kenseth in the 17 car? Watch the race off of pit road.
Oh, boy, it got tight leaving pit road there. Kurt Busch, and now it looks like Busch, gets up behind Denny Hamlin there. He's got to check up. He lost twice on that one, Andy.
Now, watch Jimmy Johnson as the caution's coming out. Pit stops were about to happen. Suddenly the caution comes out and he veers right back up on the racetrack. But remember, he had not passed by the commitment cone, so he could still do that.
That's a heads-up move right there for Jimmy Johnson. That kept him in contention.
It is those kind of moves, that kind of quick thinking that can win you a championship, folks. Remember that. Under caution, back with the green at Atlanta in just a moment. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, along with Andy Petrie and Rusty Wallace. I'm Jerry Punch, and a host of our crew on pit road and down in the pit studio. Glad to have you with us here. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series action in Atlanta as the green flag waves once again. Martin Truex Jr. leads him down, and here comes the 17 car of Matt Kenseth trying to lead a lap, and he's going to dig awfully hard to get those bonus points.
Yeah, and he's got to go hard right now in these fresh tires to get past Truex if he's going to try the bottom side of the track. But you got to have the grip in order to run down that low.
It'll be tough to get by this one car. He's been strong, man. Even on new tires, he's very strong. Matt's giving it a go, though.
That momentum off of turn 4. Let's watch this, guys. I want to see what it looks like. See, he starts picking up a little bit on the outside because of that momentum.
Saw the move off of pit road by Kenseth to be able to gain those positions and be able to use his race car. His advantage getting out of the pits on that outside lane, and now he's trying to get the lead and get some bonus points. Just can't quite get it done because Truex is just that stout.
And it is so much fun to run at this racetrack because you can run the bottom, the middle, the top, and just work all over the place.
2 car, Kurt Busch. These guys back in 3rd and 4th. Busch back in 4th position. Denny Hamlin in front of him in 3rd spot.
How flat that car is, Andy. It's got it right on the bottom of the track. That air dam is really low to the ground. Car doesn't have much body roll to it.
It doesn't hop much either. You see some of these cars that can really hold that front end low. They'll get that bump and that hop to it. This car stays down low and runs real smooth through the bumps. And I think that's one of the key things in the setup of this 2 car.
Now, Pat Trison's worked hard on the setup of this car, which is the crew chief of Kurt Busch. And he's been a savior for this team ever since he's come to this number 2 car of Kurt Busch, the driver. They get along great. Boy, has he got this car handling everywhere he takes it.
Martin Truex Jr., the leader. Matt Kenseth in 2nd spot. Hamlin, then Kurt, and Kyle Busch. That's the top 5 right now. Now watch the 17 again, right side of your screen, as he's coming off of pit road. The move he makes to stay on the outside and be able to not get other people in front of him.
Well, that's a tough pit road. I mean, look at these guys coming at you like dagers are coming at you. They're just shooting right in front of you. And as a driver, man, you got to know when to put on the brake and when to pick up the throttle, or else you'll get in a crash.
The one thing I like about this racetrack is there's no pit wall, no outside pit wall. So if these guys get in trouble, they got somewhere to go. They can go in that grass.
Let's go down to Alan Best.
And Kurt Busch had some comments on the pit exit shuffle just after he left the pit road.
All right, did you say clear all the way up, or did you say 1 lane? Clear all the way. We were clear all the way out at first, and then they started coming. And I let you go. I thought Jesse was getting you from there, so I'll go farther. Car number, you know, if it's somebody that we could pull up in front of appropriately, then we need to do it. If it's not, we don't need a wreck. I'm just scared of pit road. I'm scared of it.
Discussion on the division of responsibilities for getting Kurt off pit road between himself, crew chief Pat Trison, and his spotter Jesse Walker. Why is Kurt so scared of pit road? Well, think back just a couple of weeks ago to the race at Charlotte. He led so much of the night. After a fuel-only stop, clunked with Mark Martin. The heavy damage to the right front fender of the car that set him back in traffic. Then he was swept up in a wreck after being set back in traffic. That's why Kurt Busch is scared of pit road when he's got a good running car. And that's probably a good reason, huh, Doc?
Yeah, absolutely. That bump cost him a top 15 finish. He finished 26th at Charlotte. Now he's been sliding backwards in the chase, but not today, guys. He is sliding forwards here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
You'd think that the most dangerous part of the racetrack would be where they're running 200 miles an hour, not sitting on pit road and pulling out of your pit stall. But you can see there from Charlotte where you get that damage. You damage that right front, you're done.
Here are the Hendrick boys, 1-2 in the points, 24 and 48. By the way, they are 12th and 13th on the racetrack as they sandwich the 84 car of A.J. Allmendinger.
I bet both of them just want to say, get away from me. They can't get away from each other. I mean, it's been going on for weeks now. Bumper to bumper. We saw it last week at Martinsville, Virginia. Just goes to show you that Rick Hendrick has built 2 great race cars for these guys and gave them good opportunities with good equipment.
You know, where one guy goes, the other guy goes. They race together on the racetrack. They stand together in the garage area, and they're almost together. They're like, I guess that's why this team is so. They almost think alike.
I think they're very comfortable racing with each other here, too. I think, you know, where they are on the racetrack, that they'd probably rather not be beside anybody else but their teammate because of that trust.
And you see I'm not getting real aggressive right now. We're only 161 laps in this 325-lap race.
Oh, Bobby Labonte has had contact with the wall.
Oh, that's too bad.
Blue tire.
Six-time Atlanta winner.
Right in the wall.
And that will bring out yellow now for the 7th time today. Pretty hard contact for Bobby and the Kings dodge. Just shove that right front tire back up into it and watch it. Heads in the corner.
He said he blew a tire, and it looks just like he did blow a tire, but looking at the car coming down through there, didn't look like it was flat.
You see the right front tire is still kind of up on it looking, but it definitely took off right.
Something broke.
Bobby was so hoping to be able to give the King Richard Petty another win here. Been 308 races since that 43 car has been to victory lane and has trouble. The 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. does get the free pass, and he will be able to go back and get on the lead lap. Now, he was in 26th spot, being shown 1 lap down. That'll put now 26 cars on the lead lap as we work caution number 7 on the day. By the way, that'll put us to halfway. 163 laps complete of 325 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Boy, it didn't take long for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get that lap back, and he's back in the hunt right now. All you junior fans, he's got a fast car, and he just needs to hope that he doesn't have any engine problems like he's been having a lot this year. Guys, every single time this guy's running, it seems like he's top 5 when he has an engine problem.
And you know, if I'm one of the DEI engine guys, I'm tired of hearing that. I want to say, guys, let's build us an engine that's going to be stout and stay there all day. By the way, they built one in the 1 car. He's leading right now, and the 8 car is awfully stout if they can hang on for the afternoon. Kenseth, Kurt Busch, and Kyle Busch, 3 chase contenders as they will follow Martin Truex down pit road. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
And Matt Kenseth concerned about the 96 who's pitting in front of him, so the crew chiefs are trying to communicate to say, hey man, let us come in, we're racing for points. Talking about Matt Kenseth, he said that last run car was great. Apparently so, he got into second. Dave?
Kyle Busch, my car is fine, but clean air is worth a lot. They can get him some if he leaves now after getting only 2 right side tires. Alan, what's everybody else doing?
Kurt Busch pits from 3rd place, a 4 tire change here. Watch the pit exit when he leaves. Mike.
Martin Truex Jr. told his team last stop not to tighten him up because he was a little bit loose. They will make a slight adjustment this time, though, with air pressure. 4 tires and fuel for Truex.
Race off of pit road. You heard that Kyle Busch, the 2 right sides only, gains 4 spots. Kurt Busch up 1. Clint Bowyer, finally Bowyer gets up in the top 5. Gains 13 positions. Kenseth back 6.
Boy, you talk about a tight pit road. Coming down the 5 car of Kyle Busch. That last pit stop, he got so close to crashing. As it looked like he was exiting pit road, Kyle Petty was coming in. Woo, that was a tight one. Take a look at this. Whoa!
Oh, that was close. So you can see why his brother Kurt Busch is scared of pit road right there.
Man.
And the 2 biggest gainers were the 5 car and the 07. Both took only right side tires. It remains to be seen if that was a good move. Right sides on Bowyer puts him back in the top 10. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC station. Yes, it is available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. Pace car getting set to pull away. Let's listen into the spoilers as we go full throttle.
Green, 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 green. Looks really good. Still there, still there, still there. Clear, clear, clear. I see it right there, buddy. I see it. Now keep that up. Work on it. Still there, still there. Still there. Clear. Still there. Still there. Still there. Right there. Clear, clear, clear. There you go. Get up on that thing. Let's go.
Well, trouble on the racetrack to 66. Jeremy Mayfield making his first start. Take it over for Jeff Green in that car.
There, man. 6 car.
Caution number 8.
Get her rolling here, buddy.
Mayfield will run that car this week, or for the remainder of the season, we should say, for the Haas Motorsports team and for 2008. We heard him mention the 6 car. Let's see what kind of contact he's referring to here. How many 6s does it take? 66 there, 6 to the outside.
Looks like these guys just run out of room. 6 car does get into the back of Jeremy right here, but it's like a racing incident to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely a racing incident. You know, you saw him 3 wide there. Let's take a look one more time. Jeremy's in the middle of the racetrack coming up. and then the 6 car just wasn't up high enough, and so they just got together real quick, and a guy barely got by. It was Ryan Newman in the 12 car in that Mobil 1 Dodge, so he came out unscathed out of that deal.
From the Goodyear blimp, we'll show you high above. Watch the crowding that takes place here in the corner.
Boy, that is just flat run out of room. Take a look at Jamie McMurray. Got him in the left rear quarter panel. Got him sliding back and forth.
Harvick here just barely misses. Well, misses it by a good little bit, but he has to go way down on the apron. And here comes Jeff Gordon. That's Jeff Gordon going by.
Gordon got himself clear back to 18th position.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard seeing him that far back.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he got way back there, so he's struggling to get this thing back up there front now.
Harold Hawley's guys will take a look at the 66 car from Mayfield. Meanwhile, here comes David Reagan on the pit road with some damage on the front fenders as well. Jeff Gordon again trying to get through it. Watch from his onboard camera what he saw.
Got him touch in front of you. Come on, come on, come on. Good job. Get back up.
Boy, he got a lot luckier than Mark Martin did earlier. Earlier, when Martin did that same move, went down low like Jeff did it. And Mark had a car come across the front of him.
Back it down now. Slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. All right, stay low. Come on.
Nice job by Tony Raines to get his Chevy slowed down. As we are under caution for the 8th time of day, Jeremy Mayfield involved in an incident with David Reagan. Back with a restart in just a moment. Welcome back to the Pep Boys 500. Getting set for the restart here. Cars over in turns 1 and 2. Time now to reveal the results from our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. We ask you which driver who hasn't won this year has the best chance to get their first win today. Earnhardt Jr., Newman, Labonte, Casey Kane. How did you vote? How do you think it turned out, guys?
Oh, I was so surprised. Wow. Most popular driver in all of NASCAR history besides his father. That's a pretty good selection.
And he's back on the lead lap. So, folks, you may know something here. Back in 25th position. Getting set for the restart. Let's listen in as these guys go full throttle and hear what their spotters have to say as they come to the green.
Take care of yourself, bud. About 10 more. We'll go, man. Take care of it, Bob. Pace car is in. Green, 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 green flag. Still there. Side. Still there. Clear. There you go. You got it. Coming back. Trying to come back. Corner. There you got it. You need, babe. Outside. Still outside. Back. Outside corner. Clear all around. Clear all around. There you go. Clear high. Looking low. Looking low. Inside. Inside. Clear. Clear. There you go. Good roll. Outside. Still there. Still there. Barely. Clear low. All clear. Good job. Inside. 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 Clear all around. Good job. Still there. Barely. All clear.
Couple of Bush brothers battling side by side up front, and the Bass Boy right behind him, Martin Truex in the Chevy. Here comes the Dodge of Kurt Busch trying to go by the Chevy of Kyle.
And many of these guys run hard on these restarts. They just hammer down and go for it. They run every lap like it's a qualifying lap for the first 3 or 4 laps before they settle in. And Martin Truex right now getting around Kyle Busch and trying to run down Kurt Busch right now. That Truex has had a lot of horsepower under the hood today. Car's making big power.
Battle for 6th position. 99 Edwards trying to move on the inside off the corner of Jeff Burton. Can't quite get it done.
Gotta let these tires wear in just a little bit. You know, this is one great track for racing because of the tire wear. We talked about it earlier, Andy.
Yeah, the tires here will fall off about 2 seconds after they get a little bit of age on them. That's why these guys feel so racy. When you put these new tires on there, man, they just get so much more grip. They can go in there and run, like I said, 2 seconds a lap faster.
How about the 17? It's been a week where we've talked a lot about Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth and the issues they had after the race at Martinsville. They both tried to put it behind him. Carl Edwards apologizing for how he handled the situation when he drew back in a mock punch after the race. Kenseth and Edwards had their issues at Kansas City. Some internal squabbles, a little bit of a Fenway feud. as they still run side by side. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, I talked to Robbie Reiser, crew chief, for Matt Kenseth. They've been together since Kenseth came into the sport. And I asked him about the situation that happened between Carl, and he said, this sport isn't the way it used to be. Those guys would come to blows. That's the way it used to go down. He said, now, to be honest with you, Jamie, it's like we have a bunch of tennis players in our sport. And you guys in the media make a big deal out of it, as he was laughing, of course.
Well, he's one of the old school guys. He likes to see them fighting and roughing each other up and causing a little controversy, but you do that stuff nowadays, NASCAR will fine you big time, and they'll actually throw you out of the race.
Here comes the one car. Speaking of nowadays, here comes Martin Truex Jr. His dad's a pretty good racer in his own right. Dad, Martin Truex Sr., good buddies with Dale Earnhardt Sr. Now the juniors are racing off the well. Martin Truex taking the lead away from Kurt Busch. Truex now has led 4 times for 66 laps.
One thing I've seen here is that one car has a good short run car. He runs good right after the green, and then that 2 car comes alive after they run a few laps.
There's one thing you got to hand it to, guys. This DEI Corporation, Teresa Earnhardt and all the people there, they're not dead, that's for sure. This team is fast, it's good. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leaving the team, but Martin Truex Jr. seems to be picking it up. They've got fast race cars, a lot of horsepower. They'll be just fine.
See Clint Boyer losing a spot to the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, but I'm pretty impressed with those right side tires, how well they're holding up on this 07. This is a great move by Gil Martin and that crew down there to pull this off and get some track position.
How long can he stay there, though, with only 2 right sides? When will he begin to falter?
I think he'll actually balance out after they run a few laps. He's going to lose a few spots to these fast cars like the 9 car Casey Kane, pass him on the outside, but if he can hold up in that top 10 or 15 spots, and it's going to make up some good ground for him because he wasn't up there before.
More on the 07 with Dave Burns.
Jerry, another reason why that'd be a great thing. He ran over the debris from the wreck during that caution. In fact, radioed to his guys, oh, man, give me some more warning next time because I just ran over something. Andy, sometimes you'll come right down pit road just to make sure you don't have an issue, but Clint thought everything was okay, and so far, all the air up on all those tires.
So far, so good, Dave. He's hanging in there. He's going to lose a few spots here to some of these guys, but I think it's going to work good for him.
07 being shown in 8th position. Now, how about your points leader? Where is the 24 car of Jeff Gordon? He is back in 17th position. There's a 24 car, AB.
Doc, we saw him just miss that accident by being back in traffic on the restart previous to this one. Why? Well, they stopped on the pit stop to pull a spring rubber out of the right rear corner of the car to try and affect its handling. A gamble they took, the extra time on pit road to adjust the car. What were they trying to adjust? Let's go to our ESPN Dish Tech Center. Mr. Brewers, give us a show.
Thanks, Alan. What we're trying to do here, folks, on the left rear, Rusty was talking about earlier, when we take that spring rubber out, we let the car turn from the middle of the corner off. What a lot of people are doing when they take the spring rubber and insert it, they're trying to achieve downforce. Now, some of these guys are pretty crafty in practice. They'll insert spring rubbers in both rear springs. What that's going to do is going to keep the rear of the car high, keep the nose down low, and that's going to give them more downforce all the way around the racetrack. And that's a pretty good idea to test this stuff in practice prior to the event so you know exactly what you have. Jerry?
That's a great point, Tim. He explained how that spring rubber goes in between the springs and can lift the car up and, of course, provide more downforce in terms of a stiffer spring. For more information on adjustments, log on to ESPN.com, search word know-how.
Well, Andy, you just got to know what that thing's going to do. If you put those rubbers in the springs in the left rear, one in the right rear, I mean, you better try that first before you do it so you know what you can do, like Tim was saying during the race.
Talk about how putting the spring in the car can raise the back of the car and allow you to get more air on that spoiler and give you some of that downforce. Let's show you here with our draft tracks what we're talking about.
You can see at the back of the car all the yellow air, which is kind of the dirty air, but that's the air that creates a downforce. The higher that is in the back, the more downforce you got. But now the blue air, you get out behind the 2 car of Kurt Busch right there. That creates downforce in the front. So, you want downforce in the front and downforce in the back to really handle well. You don't want that downforce in the front to go away, or else that car will just flat not handle at all.
One way to kind of illustrate that, I've heard people say this before, stick your hand out the window going about 70 miles an hour down the interstate, hold it flat, and you feel like your hand doesn't move up or down. You put a little bit of angle in your hand, put your front of your hand down, you feel that thing just push your hand, the air will push it down. That's the exact same thing that happens to these race cars, except on a magnified scale. These cars, when you put that nose down on that car and get the tail up, it just makes a lot of downforce and pushes the car down.
Now, we just spent $3 million or so that video. You just stuck your hand out the window. It didn't cost us nothing. I kind of like that, Andy.
Well, I'll tell you what, Martin Truex has got downforce. He looks like John Force coming off the corner. Brad, you know, this one car has got some horsepower coming off the corner.
Absolutely, Doc. And I spent this morning talking to Max Siegel, head of global operations for DEI, and he said, you know, it's been a long year. They've had to go through a lot of different processes, obviously with the junior situation, but he said going into next season, they're really excited and looking forward to Martin stepping up and carrying the banner for DEI as they go forward. This young man's had a tremendous year. He's moved out from under the shadow, and next year will be a big year for Martin Truex Jr. along with DEI.
And Rusty put it well. This team has got way too much passion, way too much talent, and way too much pride. Talking about DEI to go away, they're going to be a factor in 2008.
And speaking of DEI, this 8 car is on the move. He just got that lap back. Now here he goes. He's going for the top 10 right here.
Now, trust me, they're not going nowhere. This 1 car and this 8 car are fast, baby. They're hooked up.
All you folks that voted the AT&T Crew Chief Challenge, I guess you knew what you're talking about, because the 8 car is headed back to the front. We'll see if he can get there. Lap 188 of 325. They are chasing Martin Truex Jr., Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate. Behind him is Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Casey Kane in the top 5. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's right there, too, and Jimmy's chasing another Cup championship. We'll see who gets that chase done here today when we come back. Showdowns in the NFL and decisions in Major League Baseball. We've got showdowns and decisions about to happen here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in NASCAR. Tony Stewart got troubles. He is on pit road with his Chevrolet and the hood is up. Jamie?
That's right, Doc. Tony Stewart's day just went from bad to worse. They lost oil pressure. He pulled in. The team's checking it out. They lifted the hood. He just fired it. They're listening right now to try to figure out where the problem's coming from, and they just shut it off again, guys.
Yeah, it's got pressure. When you fire it up, it's got pressure.
See Tony Stewart there in our chase ticker. You see he's going to begin moving back. Car sitting on pit road here at lap 196. Remember, Tony won this race in dominant fashion a year ago, went on to win at Texas. And now he heads back down pit road and will go back out. He'd already had his issues and had lost a couple of laps. Oh, trouble in turn 2 on the racetrack. David Stremme has gone around in the Dodge, number 40.
He's blown a right rear tire.
Yeah, blew right rear.
Yeah, just what he said. He said he blew a right rear tire. Look at that thing. It's tore to pieces, that tire.
I put dude up at the blue going in.
And boy, when you blow a right rear tire going at the corner to track this fast, you're just a passenger, dude. You're just holding on. It blew the whole back of that car up. I mean, that was a huge failure out of that tire.
Stremme damage on the back of his car and right rear. Now, we talked about decision time in the chase, and let's listen into some of this radio chatter involving our points leader, Jeff Gordon.
Smith, you know, we get a long run, and that's when we don't have the car for the long run. We get a short run, we got the car for the long run. And one of these times, I hope we hit it.
Well, I hope we hit it when it matters. Make all the rest of us all worth it.
He said it was going to be easy. I appreciate the fight you guys are putting up there and putting up with me. We'll get it here when it really does count. I agree.
Well, he's doing a good job behind the wheel right now. He's, you know, he was a little up on the pipe, so to speak, early in the race, kind of complained a little bit because he wasn't getting enough information from his crew chief, and now he's kind of apologizing. Looks like they're all happy. They know they got to go, try to get it done, and try to get this thing handling better for the long run.
Speaking of up on the wheel, Andy, watch him drive through this wreck here as it happens over in the turn.
He's completely on the apron on that flat part of the racetrack, still able to get by the 40 car. That's hard to do. It's slick down there on that apron. Great job.
Those kind of moves can save you points and save you a day and maybe save you a championship. We talked about the guys that are chasing these guys. What about the stress for Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson trying to hang on 1-2 in the points? You've been there, Rusty. You know how difficult that is.
Oh, it is. You feel like you got everybody trying to attack you. You're just holding on for dear life, and you're trying to not make any mistakes, and that's what it's all about. These guys can't make mistakes right now.
You can hear it in his voice when Jeff Gordon's talking to his crew a moment ago. Here they come. Truex will lead them down. Truex, Busch, and Casey Kane with Kyle Busch behind them. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
And Casey Kane came over the radio, said his car's a lot better with grip. He said it's just a little loose, no adjustments. They're going to take 4 tires and fuel. He remains in that top 3 position. Dave?
Kyle Busch, 2 right sides last time. This time he'll take 4. 4 fresh tires for the 5, no adjustments. Alan?
Watch both rear jacking bolts on that 2 car being twisted around, trying to optimize the air, getting to the rear spoiler of that car, Mike.
Martin Truex Jr. loose, but giving the command to Bono Mannion, his crew chief, not to change a thing. Just 4 tires and fuel. He's off the jack and away.
Race off of pit road. Bono and the boys trying to get Truex out, and indeed they will do it again. Truex hangs on to the lead. Casey Kane up a spot, as was Kyle Busch. Kurt Busch back 2 positions. Both those tracking bolts, we'll ask you about that in a moment. You see Biffle up 3 positions. There is the 1 car. And the 5 car coming off. We'll update what they were trying to do with that 2 car with the rear tracking bolts. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
NASCAR coverage continues next week in Texas. On Saturday, it's the Busch Series at 3 Eastern on ESPN2. Then on Sunday, chase for the Nextel Cup continues down to just 3 races when we get to the Great American Speedway. Last fall, Tony Stewart took the checker. The NASCAR Nextel Cup Series at Texas, 3 Eastern on ABC. As for the 7th race in the chase for the Nextel Cup, our story in the FedEx Race Rundown. And when it happens here, it happens in a hurry. Lap 65, huge crash that took out David Gilliland and Mark Martin.
Absolutely, Susan. I've been really surprised by the accidents we've had early. 9 cautions thus far. Usually at this racetrack, big, wide, there's not a whole lot of incidents, but they had a lot early.
As for the chasers, Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer both chasing the points leaders. Man, it's been a rough day for these guys, especially Tony Stewart.
So much pressure for Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer to keep that pressure going forward, trying to get into the chase numbers with Johnson and Gordon, and they've just not been able to do it.
And more for the chasers. Kurt Busch has led the most laps. Martin Truex Jr. the 2nd most. They're trying to rack up those bonus points because it's now or never for these guys.
Martin Truex is absolutely flying. Kurt Busch, we thought he had a motor problem earlier, but that car seems to settle down. These guys are up on the wheel, and they are coming.
No one mathematically eliminated coming into the day, but this is about it.
It's about it. I'll tell you the number I'm looking at, though, is that 29 points back. That's all Jimmy Johnson is back from his teammate Jeff Gordon. He's closing in.
Well, could be a great finish here, Doc. Looking forward to it.
Should be a good one here, Susie and Brad. Thank you very much. High shots. You're going to see these cars stacking up for the restart. Aerial coverage brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Now, the chase for the Nextel Cup, folks, the clock is ticking and the points are separating. How about Jimmy Johnson closing up now on Jeff Gordon? 29 points back. Teammate Johnson and Gordon. Clint Boyer now gains a little bit. You see that Kyle Busch is moving up. Tony Stewart's had the issues. Now he's going to be the big loser apparently today right now, back in 6th position. Tony sitting 34th on the grid, 5 laps down.
Looks like Jeff Gordon's a little bit vulnerable today. These guys need to pounce on him while they can.
Green flag waves once again. Martin Truex Jr. got his first top 5 finish of 2007 and his first win all in the same day at Dover back in the year. And then Truex really went on a tear and had 3 more top 5s in the next 4 races to move from 16th to 9th in the points and just get in the chase. And now in the chase here, Truex having his best race of the chase thus far here at Atlanta.
Oh boy, everybody's got a good track and everybody's got a good race, and Truex right now has got it going on. But look at these guys just splitting each other, top side, bottom side, middle. And, you know, guys, we haven't talked about Casey Kane much. He's getting late in the race right now, and I saw him working the top side of the racetrack, kind of vintage Casey Kane, and he loves getting up in the top there.
It's going to take him a few laps. These new tires feel so good. These guys are going to run the bottom for a few laps, run these real fast laps, and then as soon as the tires start going away, you'll see this 9 car go up next to the wall, start trying to pass some of these guys.
Kyle Busch trying to reel in Casey Kane at his 4th position. That's 2nd and 3rd on your screen right there. Meanwhile, Martin Truex just pulling away. Mike?
And this was the day that Martin Truex and this one team's been looking for quite some time, Doc. Believe it or not, up until today in the chase, they led only 5 laps. That's changed today, and it seems like everything's going their way. This was Martin's comments after his last pit stop.
Nice one, guys. Way to be on it. Need to sign those guys up for a couple years. Oh, wait, we did. Way to go. That deserves a ride home on the jet. If only I had one. I meant ours. Taking them home on the jet today. Cool. It's cool.
And Martin has a jet on the racetrack as well. Recently, he came over the radio and asked his crew chief, do you see how loose I am? There was a little bit of a pause, and Kevin Mannion said, yeah, I see that. Do you need me to correct it? And Martin responded by saying, no, it's perfect.
We saw Jimmy Johnson come off the corner to 3 wide. That was kind of an easy 3 wide, I would say.
Yeah, still a little nervous right there. Yeah. He said, excuse me, I need to get by you guys.
That was Ricky Rudd outside, and you saw Joe Nemechek on the inside, and the 48 car Jimmy Johnson kind of slipped through nice and easy.
Speaking of Ricky Rudd, Ricky making his 58th and final start at Atlanta Motor Speedway. By the way, Ricky's first start here, March of '75. 24 drivers in today's field were not born yet when Ricky Rudd made his very first start at Atlanta back in the spring of '75. How's that for being around here for a while?
He's been around here for a long, long time, and he's one of the greats in NASCAR. Really supported this sport, won a lot of races. He knows how to get it done, but he also knows that, hey, this is enough. When it's all over this year, I'm out of there.
29 car in the 07. You see him there right side of your screen. Teammates of Richard Childress Racing, Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick.
These two guys hadn't had the best of days here, but they're trying to make the most of it. Clint Boyer and his crew chief, Gil Martin, have been trying some strategy to get them up there. And they're right here in the top 15, but they're not where they really want to be.
Clint Boyer came into today third in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series points, and we asked him about being eager to challenge the top 2 guys here in the chase.
The two that are beating me right now are definitely both proven winners and champions. They've both been there and done that, and you know, I haven't. I'm the only one in the top 4 that hasn't won a championship. So you know, definitely a little bit behind, but I'm excited. I'm eager to see if I can beat those guys. I mean, if I could beat those guys, I think it'd solidify my place in you know, the next Cup.
Now, the hard part for Clint Boyer is he's got to have good runs to the end. They've got to have bad runs. In fact, if Clint finished top 5 in the 4 remaining races, Jeff Gordon would have to average 13th or worse every week, and Jimmy Johnson 9th or worse every week. Well, they're doing that this week, but how many weeks in a row can you count on that from the 24 and the 48, guys?
Can't count on that ever out of those guys. And you know, Jeff Gordon's running 21st right now. I don't expect him to stay there, but he's not having the best of days.
Jeff Gordon's worst finish thus far in the chase has been 11th at Dover. It's been a while since Jeff Gordon has been out of the top 20. And you could almost sense yesterday in happy hour when the car was just so sensitive and he had so much trouble getting it dialed in. This might not be a good day for the 24.
Andy, one thing I want to ask you, the 07 of Clint Boyer and the 29 of Kevin Harvick, they're running at almost the same speed now. I was down to Garage earlier and saw these electronic tablets that these guys are using. It looks like they can share information back and forth on pit road electronically. Is a lot of that going on?
Oh, yeah. These guys have I guess it's a server where they, Todd Berry, the crew chief on his 29, he'll write down some of the changes he's making. And as he enters those, it's available to all the teams. So this is the way they keep up with all their data and share it with their teammates.
Andy, I want to ask you a question. I go out sometimes on the racetrack and just, you know, run laps, but I'm never running at a speed that these guys do, so I never have tire trouble. What causes a tire to blow? Is it too much air pressure, too little air pressure, running it on the edge? What causes these guys to have tire explosions?
Well, Brad, it's a lot of different things. At this track, it seems to be that the abrasive surface just wears all the rubber completely off the tire until it gets to the cord, and then it just blows out. But, you know, there could have been anything. That we saw David Strimmy have a problem with the right rear, and that could have actually been just running over some debris on the racetrack. But, you know, that's what happens. Sometimes it's more, you know, camber. It could be air pressure. But today it looks to be more of just tire wear.
Let's get on to our ESPN Dish Tech Center and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. As a tire comes off the Goodyear truck, as it's distributed to the team, the tire specialist, he's going to come over here. He's going to measure every wear pin indicator. He's going to log it here on the sidewall of the tire. As he logs it in the book, what he's going to do is going to go out and run probably 25 laps, maybe 30. He's going to come back and log it again. Therefore, he can get camber profiles, he can get air pressure buildup, he can get temperature. Therefore, he can relate back to the crew chief as far as what changes he might want to make on the car to make the car better for the driver. But still yet, Andy, I'm like you. 99% of the time somebody runs over something on the racetrack, punctures these tires, that's when they just blow apart. Andy?
Thanks, Tim. That's a good job there. And that's the when crews and crew chiefs read these tires. It's their window into how that car's working. They look at the buildup, the tire wear, and all that, and make their decision on how to adjust the chassis.
Now, a lot of times in that right front tire, if they get too much camber in that right front, which does make the car turn pretty good. It makes it really stick to the track. But if they get too aggressive, it's going to wear that inside edge, get down to the cores, and blow the tire out. So, Andy, a lot of times that can happen also.
It is an exact science, or I should say an inexact science, and being a tire specialist for a team, you got to know a lot and you got to follow a lot. Back with more in Atlanta. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Halloween still 3 days away, but it's been a frightening afternoon here for NASCAR's finest at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here's a guy who's having the day he could dream about just for much of his career. Got his first win of the year at Dover early in the year. Talking about Martin Truex Jr., who won in his 58th career start, now trying to get win number 2 in his career at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Now, right now, Casey Kane is another guy looking awful good, running that second position right behind Martin Truex. And his lap time that time by was just a little quicker. Now Truex best him again on this next time by. But, guys, these two are going back and forth, and I like all the momentum Casey's getting off the corners right now.
Yeah, he's going to have to really be working that groove hard, because so is Martin Truex. He's using that high lane in 1 and 2. We see that Casey's using it on both ends. He's kind of running the middle of the racetrack coming off turn 4. See Martin running lower in 3 and 4, but really high in 1 and 2.
Take a look at our Ford lap leaders. Martin Truex has led 4 times for 111 laps. Kurt Busch, 98. Kyle, 9. You see Biffle, Harvick, Kyle Petty, Paul Menard among those that have led a lap and will get the bonus points. By the way, for Kyle Petty, it's pretty important because he's trying to hang in the top 35 of owners' points, and he only had a 6-point bulge over the 35th place car, which was the Bill Davis 22 car.
Well, guys, right now in Atlanta, it's about 5 o'clock. You know what that means? The sun's starting to set going into turn 1, and that gets right in the driver's eyes. And, Andy, it is so hard to see under those conditions, unreal.
Every driver I've ever worked with said this is the worst racetrack for the sun late in the afternoon, especially this time of year. We always try to put tape on the windshield or do something to try to guard against that, because they say that you just can't see coming off turn 2.
And you and I were just watching how high the cars are running down there in turn 1 and 2 right now. And that whole corner is almost shaded now because of the sun setting. And so the track, the way it's going to handle in 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4 is much different. A lot of sun on 3 and 4 and no sun on 1 and 2 right now.
Here's the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He will be driving the Budweiser Chevy today, but tomorrow and Tuesday here he will be swapping teams as the first test for 2008 and the NASCAR Sprint Series takes place. It'll be an all COT test, and he will go over to the Hendrick team. And Tony Eury Jr., his former crew chief here, has the car ready and standing by the test, as will other drivers. And the 5 will be as well. It says Kyle Busch will be going over to test with the Joe Gibbs Racing efforts. And remember, 2008 is an all COT event. Every event, all of races will be in the car of tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure if you go to ESPN.com, you're going to see a lot of photos of that historic moment where Junior's in the Hendrick car tomorrow here at Atlanta, testing back and forth.
And by the way, they turned back the clock. Dale Earnhardt Jr. suggested that Rick Hendrick bring the paint job from 1984 when he ran his very first car. It was all-star racing back with Jeffrey Bodine, and they had the 5 on it. That's going to be the paint job that Earnhardt Jr. will roll out of the garage with tomorrow in his very first lap in a car for Rick Hendrick.
That sounds like a die-cast special to me. It looks like somebody's going to make a lot of money on that initial car paint scheme just for this test session.
Here are the Busch boys going at it again. The 2 car up in front of the 5. AB?
Now picking up that 3rd spot, of course, you just talked about, Doc, how much of this race Kurt has led. And late race handling issues have been kind of the stumbling block for this team, putting together what Kurt has called a complete race. Right now, they're still working on this car's handling. The adjustment they made last time with the jacking bolts to try and help the airflow to that rear spoiler hasn't done the trick. They're talking about next time maybe taking the time on a pit stop to do to pull a spring rubber out of the car, which gives up track position late in the race. But they don't have a winning car right now, and where they are in points, what do you want? Just a winning car.
Well, whatever they've done, Alan, is working, because Kurt Busch, as you take a look at our sprint speed lap, and he certainly Last time by faster than the leader, Martin Truex Jr., 176.5 miles an hour. And Truex last time by 175.649. That 2-car has been quick all afternoon.
Oh, he really has. He's been solid throughout the day. And what does that equate to in seconds, which a lot of the drivers watch, versus miles per hour? The leader just ran a 31.67. Kurt Busch just ran a 31.39. So Andy almost 0.3 of a second, and that's flat scooting around this joint.
Leader, the 1 car going by. You see there Truex Jr. going by the 6th car of David Reagan, who was involved in a shunt with Jeremy Mayfield. He has some damage on his car. Here's a 24 car of Jeff Gordon. We talked about the fact that he's had a bit of a struggle today. And Jeff Gordon in that 24 car coming in as the points leader.
We kind of speculated about Jeff Gordon maybe just kind of taking it easy here, even though his car's not handling like he wants, and I'm sure it wasn't, but he's not going to go out there and take any chances while it's not handling right. I see him as they get toward the end of this race and the last run, especially that last green flag run when they can make it on fuel. I see Jeff Gordon stepping on it a little bit and start making up spots. We'll keep an eye on his lap times. It looks like he's picked it up just a little bit here in this run, but I think he'll step it up when it's time to.
We will keep an eye on that, as they will probably make at least one more pit stop, and then we'll see if Jeff Gordon does indeed turn up the wick on the 24th car back in just a moment. Back at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, caution being waved for the 10th time today. Heavy damage on the right front of Joe Nemechek's Chevrolet. He has cut a tire and has taken part of the fender away, and the debris all over the racetrack. Here's what happened to Nemechek.
See the car up real high in the corner, smoke coming out of it, tires going flat. See, this thing's making a ton of debris, blowing that fender off. There goes the 2-car running through some of that debris. I don't know if he caught any of it or not.
It looks like he went right through the middle of the big piece came right dead through under the center of his car, Andy. The only thing that's going to save him now is a pit stop. He gets to change those tires.
They can check it as they come down pit road. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
Well, Casey Kane just came over the radio and said the car feels real good. He said, but they're a little loose to stay with that 1 car, Martin Truex Jr. He said, I need a little more shade out here to tighten up that car. So no adjustments for Casey Kane. Dave Burns?
Centers are snugger, exits are freer. Jason Jones, the rear tire carrier, has already made a chassis adjustment in the rear window of the 5 car for Kyle Busch. 4 tires, Allen.
Big problem on the right front of the 2 cars pit stop. Kurt Busch waving his hands behind the wheel in frustration, plus some damage on the lower lip of the nose, and that traffic leaving. Mike?
How good is the 1 car? Well, they've barely touched it all day long. This stop, no different. No changes, just 4 tires and fuel.
And the race off of pit road, kudos to the 9 car. Great effort by Casey Kane and Kenny Francis and company. And how about Jeff Burton up 4 positions? Really good stop for Jeff Burton and Scott Miller.
Martin Truex Jr.'s team has a slow stop, and they lost 4 spots coming off pit road.
And oh man, it's complexity. This race chart to change right now. Casey Kane up in the lead. 2 car had mistakes. The Truex has had mistakes. Doc, things are getting ready to happen, buddy.
You look down on the scene here outside Atlanta. This, of course, the Nextel Cup chase continuing in Hampton, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta. And our point standings right now. Jeff Gordon came in the leader today, and his teammate Jimmy Johnson in hot pursuit. And you can see that he is in hotter pursuit right now. The main storyline for the chase is the fact that Jeff Gordon, for the first time, has appeared a little vulnerable. Now, I know the fellows upstairs, like Andy Petrie, are saying that perhaps he is deliberately dropping back. If so, Jimmy Johnson may leap forward here and try to take advantage of this opportunity. Remember, he's coming off a win a week ago, and Johnson dearly wants to defend his title. Forget right now that they are teammates. The 48 car is going to try to gain and seize the lead here in this chase if he can, as we continue under caution this afternoon. We note on our leaderboard that we have had 9 leaders here today, and of course Jimmy Johnson has not yet been one of them, but he's got an opportunity here, Doc, if he can take advantage of Gordon faltering just a bit.
Yes, he does, Brandon. That would be a big advantage for a lot of guys if the 24 car were to fall.
And guys, you remember at Indianapolis when Tony Stewart said, "Here, kitty, kitty"? Well, this time I think it's Jimmy Johnson saying, "Here, kitty, kitty" to Jeff Gordon. He's only 3 points behind. Man, he's closing in. 3 points, Andy. He was 50-something.
Yeah, but guess what, Rusty?
What's that?
It's not over.
I know it's not over, but I think Johnson's got him rattled, baby. He's on his bumper, man, in the points.
All right, still some concerns on the 2 car. That front end that Alan was talking about, AB.
And more concerns about the loss of track position. Doc, watch the pit stop. Watch the right side of the car that sent Kurt Busch back to 8th place here. There's the damage, first of all, from the debris that he hit. Watch the pit stop on the right side. The tire changer has got to go. Ask the jackman to raise the car higher. I can't get the tire on. You see it? Listen to Kurt's frustration from in the car.
We got to get in gear, man. This is the time of the race where you got to be on it. We keep throwing away spots. Let's see the 48 car all freaking day, and there he is, 4 cars in front of me.
So you got a little pit road issue there that sent Kurt back to 8th in line, plus the damage to the front end. How's that going to affect the handling of the machine? That nose pushed in a little bit with the hole in the center. Oh, boy.
Well, he's a good driver. He just can't get too frustrated right now, because if that happens, you know, he's going to lose his cool more than he needs to, guys. And he's got a fast car. Get the composure back together and drive back to the front, guys.
But Rusty, twice today they've had lug nut issues. Not once, but twice. Now they have a problem with the jack. And if you're in that car, you're going to get a little frustrated.
Well, the tire changer in the right front's got to get it together a little bit.
87 laps to go. Is the 24 car of Gordon vulnerable? He's back in 16th spot. Can Jimmy Johnson take over the chase lead? What about the guys in front of him, like Kyle Busch? How about Casey Kane trying to get his first win in 2007? Chevy pace car pulls away, and the green flag waves once again here in Atlanta. Oh, Kyle Busch, what are you thinking about, buddy? Here you come.
He's got a lot of nerve. He's going to make it 3 wide. Spit out of the center, take the lead, wide open throttle off the corner, and he wasn't scared of nobody.
Man, that guy is unbelievable. Now, when it's time to go, he goes.
He says, I got to get out of here before that Truex guy gets back up here to the front, because he is very, very good.
Yeah, Joe Gibbs is probably saying, man, I'm glad he's driving my car next year.
Man, look at that 5 car get gone.
He gets that clean air, nobody to race with, all that downforce, and they just get out of there, Andy, and you'd love to see nobody around you when that happens.
Check out this 31 car, Jeff Burton, man. He has been methodically working on this race car, and now look where he's at. He's up here in the top 5. 85 laps to go.
Trying to hang on right behind the 48 as the one comes by. You talked about how much of a struggle it was for them yesterday, and you talked to them in the garage area today. They have got to give a call to the 31 bunch for getting that car dialed in from back in the 30th spot when they were in the early laps here all the way in to the top 5.
This is a brand new race car for the Childress guys. They've been trying to find something just a little bit better than what they had. Not able to find it just yet, but they keep working on it here. They might have some.
Jimmy Johnson just 3 points back of the lead right now as they run with 84 laps to go. Johnson in 3rd position. The guy he's chasing in the points, Jeff Gordon, is sitting solidly now back just outside the top 15 in 16th spot. More on Jimmy Johnson with Mike Massar.
And Doc, the fact that Jeff Gordon has been running at an incredibly intense pace is not lost on the 48 team. Coming into this weekend, Jimmy said in order to chase down Jeff Gordon, he needs to be absolutely perfect. He realizes the game that Jeff Gordon is bringing, and in order to catch him, he needs to put some pressure on him. He hopes that that pressure will force Jeff Gordon into a mistake, or at least put him in a position to capitalize if the 24 team does falter. Alan?
Watching Jeff Gordon, the championship leader, right side of the screen. Talked about last time before the pit stop that his car, when it was out by itself in clean air, was much better than when it was in traffic. They made an air pressure and track bar adjustment on the pit stop. He was running as low as 20th before the caution. You see he's up to 15th now and trying to move forward. They have struggled with the handling of this car all day, but not given up yet.
The position that Jimmy Johnson lost. See what he did to the points? He went from 3 back to 11 back. That's how quickly things can change in a half a lap here in the chase.
And right now, Jeff Gordon, this late in the race, this is where this team seems to shine. So they're not giving up. Jeff Gordon, Steve Letarte, these guys will be working hard. There's only 80 laps to go, and they've got to get this thing right.
I think Truex took a shortcut to the infield there. He came all the way down on the inside of the racetrack to take away that second position. So now Truex back in second spot and setting his sights on one Kyle Busch, who is our leader. Kyle Busch pulling away now by 1.9 seconds. But folks, don't look now. That one car is on a mission. Just 80 laps to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC station. It's country music's biggest night, the 41st annual Country Music Awards, with performances by music's hottest stars live from the Sommet Center in Nashville. For the first time ever, folks, an exclusive award show performance by the Eagles, live Wednesday, November 7th on ABC. Little country tuned, and the 5 car just dancing away here. Kyle Busch trying to stay in front of the 1 car of Martin Truex Jr. And right now he's able to do that. Everyone thought Truex was going to just reel him in, and I guess Kyle Busch had different thoughts. As we go up to speed with our chase contenders and our leader, Kyle Busch. Dave?
And Doc, at the beginning of the chase, crew chief Alan Gustafson told me that we've got nothing to lose here, and it could be the perfect state for Kyle Busch, leaving at the end of the year and running well. And they've had top 5s all the way through, except for 2 things, the wreck at Kansas and the wreck at Talladega. But other than that, they've had a great chase, Mike.
And Dave, for the first time this afternoon, there's a tone of concern in Martin Truex Jr.'s voice. Just radioed into his crew chief, asking him, where'd all the speed go? Well, Bono Mannion had to reassure him, saying, don't worry, we'll get it back. There's at least one more stop to go. Jamie?
And Casey Kane just said to his team, he said, hey guys, I keep spinning my tires. I need some grip. I don't know what the deal is. It feels like my tires are too hard. So he's just trying to hang on and find that speed. It's been 37 races since Casey Kane went to victory lane. Mike?
Jimmy Johnson described his car as great on the last run, although it got a little bit loose toward the end. They made a slight adjustment, and after that, there was conversation on the radio where Chad Knaus told them, Jimmy, you're the fastest car on the racetrack right now. Let's go to Jamie.
Matt Kenseth started 42nd. He's been running top 5. He's 5th right now. He said his car is getting better. It's been loose on throttle, but he said it's not a big deal. He's coming off his best chase finish last weekend of 5th. He's hoping to improve here. Alan?
Well, Kurt Busch restarted 8th when we took the green just a few laps ago. He's only moved up to 6th now, a car that's been one of the leading threats to win all day. Haven't caught anything on his radio about whether that hole in the nose has hurt the handling on the car, but it sure can't be helped. Dave?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has endured a penalty on pit road, having to pit under green, and also a crew member who got hit by a lug nut. Mike Moore, the car chief, standing on the inside of the pit wall, got hit by a lug nut during one of the pit stops, has 4 stitches in his upper lip, but I guess I can't say he's keeping a stiff upper lip, but they're doing a great job in the 8th crew and hanging in there. Right behind him, the 31 of Jeff Burton. This morning, crew chief Scott Miller told me this is one of the hardest racetracks because the cars run so bad. There's no grip, and they're going so fast. That's hard to adjust to, but the 31 has come from the rear and made those adjustments all day long. Alan?
Well, every athlete wants to do his best at his home stadium or in his hometown, and for Reed Sorensen, that's the case here. Sorensen is from Peachtree City, Georgia, just up the road from this racetrack a little bit. This speedway, the little quarter-mile inside the front straightaway, is where he learned how to race, driving what's called Legends cars. Sorensen started the day in 32nd. He's in the top 10, running 9th now. A solid day for the hometown kid, Mike.
Coming into this race, Denny Hamlin said he is getting comfortable here at Atlanta, but he's still not all that excited about coming here. Why? Because he did not feel like it was his strength, being able to work the various grooves on this racetrack, looking for the place where his car handled best. However, he's mastered it today and has been running into the top 10 most of the afternoon. Dave?
Behind him, Jamie McMurray looking for his first top 5 since his victory at Daytona in July. Having a good run today. They've worked the tightness out of that race car, got it so it would turn, and now it's more balanced for Jamie near the end of this race. Alan?
Now, a lot of times, the difference between winning and not winning these championships is what you do on your bad days, how many points you score. No question, this has not been one of Jeff Gordon's best days, but they've continued to adjust on this car. After running as low as 20th, he's picked up 5, now 6 spots since the restart. Gordon is up to 12th right now and moving, Jamie.
And Alan, this certainly isn't one of Carl Edwards' best days either. This is a track he was hoping to, well, win. He's won here twice before. He considers it one of his favorite racetracks, but right now he's sitting 13th. He was running top 10 earlier. Car's gone away a little bit, gotten a little tight. That's a 99 of Carl Edwards. Alan?
Twice during Harvick's team has had to make repairs to this car. First for the right front fender due to contact on pit road. Then the front valence of the car, that lower lip, when he had to dive to the apron, the flat part of the racetrack from the banking to miss a wreck. Still, Harvick started 34th. He's running 14th. Dave?
Clint Boyer had never run the high side on any mile-and-a-half racetracks, Alan, as Jimmy Johnson gets around Casey Kane now for that position. But Boyer decided 2 weeks ago at Charlotte he needed to do more to try to run better to win the championship. So he ran the high line for the first time ever in final practice. He did it again here this weekend. He's touched the wall a couple of times, but he's learned that may be the way to help my future.
And Dave will finish with the guy who started first. That's Greg Biffle. He started on the pole, but very shortly after this race began, he began to feel a vibration. He radioed in saying he thought his car was going to blow up. It has not. It has survived. They've diagnosed the problem. It's a fuel pressure problem he's had all afternoon, and the reason they think is because they believe somehow they got water in their fuel. Guys?
Great update, folks, on all the leaders and all the cars there in the top 15 here this afternoon. Top 16 when you had Greg Biffle in there back up front. How about the efforts of the 5 car? By the way, Kyle Busch is the only chase driver without a top 10 finish in his career at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He is the leader, and the guy there is Jimmy Johnson, who's just has gone around a little bit ago. You saw him making the move to take a position away. Johnson now up to 3rd spot here behind Kyle Busch and Martin Truex.
And boy, just a little while ago, he got pretty loose. But, you know, I was talking about Jimmy Johnson earlier. You know, all the money that he's going to win today, he's going to give it to the California fire victims. And you really got to hand it to fellows like Bruton Smith, who owns this racetrack. He says, I'm going to match what Jimmy does. And Lowe's, his sponsors, I'm going to do the same thing. And Hendrick Motorsports, they're going to match it also. And, Jerry, if he finishes in the top 5, this could be close to $1 million that all these guys are going to give away to charity to the California fire victims.
That's going to the American Red Cross to support relief efforts on all those fires in Southern California. Of course, Jimmy, a California boy growing up in Southern California. Jimmy Johnson thinking about other people, and a lot of folks said you should be thinking about yourself, but no, Jimmy's a very unselfish guy right now trying to hang on and move in on another championship. Jimmy Johnson running 3rd. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Well, folks, we have just tied the record at this racetrack for a caution set back in November 1993. 12 car, Ryan Newman had broken a valve, and now he heads back to the garage area as caution comes out for the 11th time here on lap 268. Let's listen to the onboard now in the Newman car. Listen to what's happening with the engine as he's trying to get up to speed.
You can tell he's lost a lot of power there, getting passed by quite a few cars here. Then the engine went, it kind of just went south, and then it just blew up completely.
Pit stops, possibly final stops of the day. Here they come. Jamie Little.
And Matt Kenseth pulls into his pit box. He said the conditions are changing because, as Rusty talked about, the sun in 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, not 1 and 2. So he's going to come and make a smaller pressure adjustment and 4 tires. Let's go to Dave.
Kyle Busch like that specially matched set of tires he called him last time. We assume this one is fairly close to that. Alan?
Kurt Busch's team has gotten in the lead on pit stops. They struggled on pit stops today. This is the money stop, and that was a good one. Mike?
48 car getting a little bit loose at the end of a run. They'll take a round of wedge out, a 4-tire change in fuel. For Johnson, he's down and away.
Race off of pit road, and Truex gains a spot. Kurt Busch up 2, Kyle back a couple. And the big loser, Kyle Busch, the big gainer, Jeff Gordon up 3 positions. And what a surprise when the money stop happens, the 24 car suddenly is up in the top 10. He's going to be up on that wheel, folks, here for the final 55 laps. Back with a restart at Atlanta in just a moment.
ESPN's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Allstate. Go online to see real race fans hanging out with a not-so-real Casey Kane. Chevy, an American revolution. And Bank of America, Bank of Opportunity.
They come toward the line. It's going to be another one of those fantastic Atlanta finishes. They're going to be side by side when they come to the line. Here they come, and I think Cole's got the advantage. Dale Earnhardt maintains the lead. Good one, folks. He's going to get him, though. Here they come. Gordon got loose in Corbin. Corbin by inches.
They're jumping up and down right now.
The drama for the chase continues to build, and it couldn't happen at a better place. Atlanta Motor Speedway, known for fabulous finishes. How about that one, Harvick over Jeff Gordon, March of 2001 by 0.06 of a second. Folks, could we have something like that today? And could this chase really tighten up here in the final 54 laps?
And can they make it on fuel? 54 laps, Andy Petrie, looks like that's about all they can run.
Yeah, just to run the calculations, that's right there at the edge of their window. The tires are what I'm worried about. We haven't made a 54-lap run yet under green.
Truex pulls down. He's a chase contender. Behind him, a pair of Bushes in Kurt and Kyle. Behind them, Matt Kenseth, and then Jimmy Johnson in 5th position. Casey Kane Earnhardt Jr. And oh, by the way, Jeff Gordon all the way up to 8th spot.
Jeff Gordon up the 8th. He's been in the back of the pack struggling, and all of a sudden when it's money time, he's got this baby coming to the front right now. I think I made him mad when I said, here, kitty, kitty. Take a look at him. He's on the throttle now.
48 can ill afford to lose any positions, but the 8th doesn't care. Here comes Earnhardt Jr. down on the inside. They go by John Andretti.
John Andretti doesn't know which way to go. He's trying to get out of the way of these guys.
Jeff Gordon, Allen.
4-tire change there. Gordon says the thing that they've been working on the most all day, the drive off the corner, so important to launch you down the straightaway and into any kind of a pass. Said they've got that fixed now. Let's watch, see what happens in these final 50.
That's about the right time to get it fixed, guys. I mean, we're 52 laps to go right now.
Well, you don't win 4 championships in 81 races unless you've got a plan. Jeff Gordon said back there, you called it, Andy, back there was riding and staying out of trouble, and now after what may be the money stop in the final 50 laps, here comes Gordon easing his way back toward the top 5.
They're sure acting like a championship team right here. This is not, like Alan said, their best day they've had, and they've made something out of this. They've kept their cool, stayed back there when they didn't need to run hard. Now they need to run hard to try to get these spots at the end, and their car's good. I see Jeff making even maybe some more spots, maybe a top 5 out of this.
All right, folks, 50 laps to go. Let's listen in on the radios on the top 3 cars, starting with Martin Truex, then Kurt Busch, then Kyle Busch. Here's Truex.
I think I could run a little better if I had just a dash more rear grip, but if the track ever gets tight, we'll be screwed. I can still run hard and fast like this, so we'll just leave it alone. Where we have a problem is we need to get this rear air up or that corner of the car up so it'll drive off that tire but not break it loose. So I'm not sure what to do, man. I don't think fight for an air is going to help us. Entry's pretty good. Center's a little bit snugger and exits are a little bit freer. So I just need a little help turning and a little help stepping on it.
Well, it sounds like all 3 of them got little adjustments they'd like to have done to their cars if they could, but even with all 3 of them being just a little bit off to run the same speed.
You know what I'm telling them now, if I'm our crew chief, this is our last run.
You got what you got?
It's all yours, bud.
That's right, man. There's not much you can do. We've done all we can, and we're out of time right now if this thing goes green flag.
Yeah, you're the guy on that stage in New York, so it's in your hands right now, big boy. Martin Truex hanging on. What a day for Martin Truex Jr. 5 times he's led for 132 laps. Trying to pick up his 2nd ever career win. Here are the Busch boys. Kurt and Kyle in the chase, and then 2nd and 3rd here in the race.
These have been the 3 best cars all day long, and at certain points of the race, each one of these guys have been the best. It's going to be interesting to see which one's going to come out of this on top.
Casey Kane now going by Jimmy Johnson. That is for 6th position. That puts Johnson back to 7th, right in front of Jeff Gordon, who's in 8th spot. Kyle deciding to go by on the bottom side. Chevy goes by Dodge, and now it's Kyle Busch in 2nd spot.
See, all these top 3 guys, you see the back end of the car step out almost every other lap or so. It means that these cars are probably just about as loose as these guys can stand it. Man, look at that 5 car get around the bottom of that racetrack.
Wow, we told you that Kyle Busch had never had a top 10 finish at Atlanta. How about Martin Truex? He had the worst average finish of all 12 chase drivers at this racetrack. He's been averaging a 28th place finish. Today, these 2 guys trying to turn their Atlanta fortunes around.
Well, you got to hand it to that one team of Martin Truex DEI. They have been up front throughout the day. They swapped the lead back and forth a little bit, but Andy, they've been hanging there throughout this race.
They're still duking it out. Look at this car, this 5 car.
That 5 car's got just a little bit of damage, the lower air dam on the left front. But you know what? I believe that actually creates a little bit more downforce, so it might be helping the way this car's handling.
One car now back to second spot. Mike?
Well, as if the 5 car wasn't giving Martin Truex enough trouble right now, he may have something else to worry about. His crew chief, Kevin Mannion, came over the radio not too long ago telling him, conserve fuel. We're real close.
Well, that's going to be hard to do here when these guys are trying to run this hard to the end of the race.
All right, here are the guys back 48 and 24. Johnson, Gordon now being shown in 7th and 8th. Remember, Jeff Gordon ran about 16th to 18th most of the afternoon until about 70 to go. They began creeping into the top 10, now being shown in 8th spot. The chase ticker, top of your screen, Gordon 49 points now ahead of Jimmy Johnson. You see Clint Boyer back 139 in 3rd spot.
And take a look. Look at Jimmy Johnson going to the top side. Jeff Gordon getting ready to pass him. So, boy, late in the race, it's really starting to change now, the handling of this race. Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon have made some good decisions, guys.
Yeah, we speculated when would Jeff Gordon step on the gas and move this thing to the front. Here's your answer. 43 laps to go, and he's on it. He's going to go for this spot right here. He's going to try to go for every spot he can to the end of the race.
Now, do you think he's just stood on the gas, or do you think he's got the car handling better?
Well, that's a little of both. I think these guys have been working on their car. When the car wasn't handling right, Jeff didn't push it. He said, okay, I'm just going to sit here and ride till we get this thing fixed. Plenty of time for me to make up these spots.
With 42 laps to go, when a driver, Andy, does get up on the wheel, how many spots is he good for? I mean, what can he do?
Well, this driver here in this 24 is good for quite a few spots. It's just time's going to tell. And you see these leaders now, man, they're really going at it. If they happen to take each other out, they put these guys, these Hendrick boys, in the spot to win.
Martin Truex saying, guys, I didn't lead 135 laps today here to finish second, so I'm going to go downstairs and try to take this lead back away.
Well, guys, if I remember correctly, about the last 5 races in a row, late in the race, we've been having a lot of crashes. And the intensity level gets really high with these drivers. And that might just happen today.
You've heard of the red zone in football when everything happens and every play is important. We're getting into the chase zone. Final 50 laps. In fact, 41 laps to go. We'll take a break and we'll come back and see who can hang on and get the win at Atlanta.
Tracks in NASCAR, it's crunch time with just 35 laps to go in the 7th race for the chase. Kyle Busch in the lead, but Jeff Gordon is stalking.
He really is, Susie. And we have 8 of our 10 chasers in the top 10. It's just unbelievable how these guys have risen to the top. And once again, the Hendrick Motorsport cars, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, running 7th and 8th respectively with more laps and more positions to gain. They have been dominant all year, and they're going to dominate today.
Since our countdown show this afternoon, we've been trying to set everybody up for the great finishes here at Atlanta. Any reason to think this wouldn't be another close finish?
No, not at all. I actually went out to the racetrack and watched Kyle Busch is absolutely driving the wheels off of a loose race car. Martin Truex is super fast, and Kurt Busch is good. I do expect Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon to make a run, though, here in the next 20 laps. It's going to be a great finish.
Doc, it's all you guys for the finish.
Thank you, Susie and Brad. The 17 car decided I'm going to have a little something to say about who wins this one today. All the way from the back of the pack, started last because of an engine change. And now Matt Kenseth deciding to make a move. He's in 2nd spot. Jamie?
Well, Doc, he's moved up 2 positions since the last pit stop, but he came over the radio and asked his crew chief, Robbie Reiser, how's it looking on fuel? This is what they said.
Their fuel situation if it goes green, Robbie? Probably about 3 laps short. Okay, well, if it goes green, just let me know about 20 to go. I can save 3 laps. I think that shouldn't be a problem. So just let me know if we get in the middle of the roundabout how many laps we got left to get singled out. I'll try to save you a little bit. If when I get the full calculation, I'll let you know.
And Matt Kenseth just came over the radio to crew chief Robbie Reiser and said, all right, man, I'm going to push right now to get around the 2, and then I'm going to push to get around the 1, and then I'll back it down. Rusty, how hard is it as a driver to have that discipline to push hard and then back off to conserve?
Well, it's pretty easy to push hard, and right now he's the fastest car on the racetrack. He's running down Kyle Busch, but Andy, I mean, I don't know if he can save that much fuel.
It'd be hard to save 3 laps in the last 20 laps, but I'm sure he's still thinking about fuel this whole run. The one thing I see about Matt Kenseth right now is that he's back to the old Matt Kenseth. When this chase started, he started going out here trying to run hard at the beginning of the race, lead laps, lead the most laps, doing things that he doesn't normally do, and it got him in trouble. He wrecked some cars, and he found himself way down in these chase points. Today, I see the old Matt Kenseth. This is the way he used to do this thing. He would kind of ride around in the top 10 or 12, and when it came time to pay off, this is the position he finds himself in, and this is what works for Matt Kenseth.
Well, you know, one thing I like about that 17 car, that black and yellow paint scheme reminds me of that old number black Miller January Draft 2 car I used to drive, man. That's a good-looking car Matt's driving right there, Jerry.
Good-looking car. That reminds us a lot of some of the old colors of Rusty. Now, why do you think he changed his style? I know we went out of Dover and led over 190 laps, and he just was aggressive from the get-go, and now moving back to the old Matt.
But I'm not positive.
I'm not sure, Doc. I just think it's just one of those deals that, you know, he thought that's what they needed to do to win the championship, to go out there and do these things and get these bonus points. But that's not a Matt Kenseth style of racing, and I think that just didn't work for him.
Brad, your thoughts?
Yeah, Doc, I talked to Robbie Reiser right before the chase started, and he just felt like they had a really bad season. They didn't run very well at the end of the year. They had a lot of things going on. Matt even made the observation for them to have a chance the chase, they were going to have to run a lot harder. So I think they changed their mindset and came out, like Andy said, super aggressive, totally against, you know, the way they normally do things, and it just backfired. It did not work, but you got to give them an A effort for trying.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's certainly making the effort there. Speaking of making the effort, how about Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr.? One guy trying to win a championship, another guy just trying to win a race. And in fact, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just trying to finish a race competitively.
And you didn't see Jeff Gordon racing like this in the middle part of the race. And that's what I was talking about. He would just give these spots, let these guys ride around in front of him. But right now, it's time to go, and it's 28 laps to go, and he's just going to race them for it.
Jeff Gordon, a four-time winner here, one of four of the wins that have come with Hendrick Motorsports. By the way, Hendrick Motorsports tied for second all-time in terms of owners' wins. The winningest owners here are the Wood brothers. Our Aflac trivia question, the Wood brothers have won here 4 times. Who was the last Wood brothers driver to win at Atlanta? Remember, the Wood brothers had Cale Yarborough and A.J. Foyt, Neil Bonnet, David Pearson, Dale Jarrett. A lot of great drivers are driven for the Wood brothers. Who was the last guy? Who do you think it is, guys?
Can I answer?
What do you think?
No, I don't know.
Let me give you a year. March 1993, and it was Morgan Shepherd. How about a great run for Morgan Shepherd?
That's great. I knew that. I just didn't want to spoil it for you, Doc.
That's great. I knew that, too. You know why? Because Russ Thompson told us that last night.
Yeah, Russ knows it all. He and Bill Sloboda know it all. Here's the Bill Elliott driving the Wood Brothers car. Awesome Bill, a 5-time winner at Atlanta. And, of course, the 88 Cup champion. Speaking of Cup champions, how about Dale Jarrett in the 44 car? Jarrett, who had his best qualifying effort of the year and was running in the top 20, now being shown in 24th position.
Well, one reason he's back there right now is because he made a pit stop right before we went green and got a little extra fuel. I'm thinking so he could make sure he made it to the end. So he was one of the guys that just topped off with one to go.
Pole sitter on pit road. Here's Greg Biffle down. He's going to get a little some tires and fuel as well. Here goes Jimmy Johnson by the 9 car, moving back into the top 5.
You know, the racetrack is changed a lot right now, guys. The outside air temperature is cooling down dramatically. Turn 1 and 2, it's almost completely shaded now, although we got a lot of sun on 3 and 4. And Andy, I got to believe the cars are starting to tighten up right now. Getting a little harder for these drivers to turn these front ends without the front end taking off on them.
A lot of things change the racetrack, and a lot of this rubber getting put down on here changes it, but this sun going down changes it probably more than anything. They're going almost in complete darkness, you see, in 1 and 2, and that track's going to have a lot of grip on that end. You go to the other end, and it'll be slipping and sliding just a little bit.
A lot of question marks about fuel. Can they make it? Will they make it? And, of course, these guys can ill afford to make a mistake. Alan?
Doc, I just talked to Steve Letarte. Those pit stops came with 56 laps to go. We went green with 53 laps to go. And 53 laps has been about the outside range of the fuel for this 24 car all day. Steve says we are not stopping. I think we're about a half a lap short. My driver can get me that. Second part of that story is this: how your car's handling affects your fuel mileage. Right now, Jeff Gordon with an extreme tight condition on his car, meaning the front end is sliding a lot. Andy and Rusty, that means he's working the throttle differently than he was before.
Yeah, Alan, when you got a tight race car, you have to put a lot of wheel in it and turn the car left and really step on the throttle, and that uses a lot of fuel.
Yeah, that actually bogs the engine down. You can actually see the RPMs really struggling to keep up. And boy, when you do that, you're right, Andy. It's like just being at a stop sign with the brake on and holding the throttle down. That thing is just struggling, and it's burning a lot of gas. Not good.
See, putting a little wheel in it right here through the corner. It's going to take some doing for him to make something out of this if he's going to try to squeeze a few extra laps out of that tank.
And the good crew chiefs, and Steve Letarte's one of them, will come across the radio and say you tight or loose when he's trying to calculate that fuel. And he's going to take that into account.
we've not made a 53-lap run yet under green without having some kind of a tire issue. So that's one thing we've got to think about too.
You heard Alan Bestwick say that he thought they were going to be about a half a lap short, but his driver can get him that. And both of you grimaced when he said that. Are you concerned?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can count on your driver. Most of these drivers do know how to save fuel, and that's to back off the gas a little bit early, don't use the brake. And when they know they have to do it, they can save a little bit of fuel.
You know, I grimaced a little bit when we heard, you know, Matt Kenseth's crew chief, Robbie Reiser, saying that, you know, they need to save 3 laps. Now, I can believe a half a lap you can save, but 3 laps of fuel with 20 to go, Robbie was telling Matt back and forth, oh, that's stretching it to save that much fuel now.
We talked about gambling. We talked about pulling the goalie late in the hockey match, the Hail Marys in football. Got to gamble here when you're at the bottom of the chase. That's exactly where that 17 car is. He's 12th, last driver in the chase coming in. And if he can roll the dice, maybe he can get there. Now the move the 17 car made on pit road. Coming off of pit road, that is our Allstate good hands move of the race. Now watch Matt Kenseth getting in front of the 5 car, and he stays there, and he'll pinch him off in behind the 2 coming out. And also the 11 car trying to speed out. But a great effort by Matt Kenseth. On behalf of Kenseth, Allstate will donate $1,000 to the Urban Youth Racing School. That is our Allstate good hands move of the race.
That looked like about 3 or 4 moves to me coming down pit road. He had to avoid quite a few guys coming out.
Well, man, you remember Robbie Reiser and Matt were talking back and forth, and Matt told him, tell me when it's 20 to go, and that's when I'll start saving fuel. Looks like that's what he's doing now.
Jamie?
Well, Rusty touched on it. You know, the sun's going down, the temperatures are cooling down. So what does that mean for Matt Kenseth, who's in second? This is what he said on the radio.
The best has been all day. I'm a little too loose, but by far the best has been all day. By far. The best grip, the least amount of chatter, and the best balance I've had all day. Just let me know if you want me to slow way up and let everybody go, Robbie. You just guys can't tell me. I'm trying to save a little bit here, but I'm probably not saving a lot.
And he's feeling so good behind the wheel. He's forgetting to back off as much as Robbie needs him to. So he constantly keeps asking Robbie, tell me, where do we stand? And he tells him, keep doing what you're doing, man.
I mean, here's the fuel story for the 5 car. Before they went back to green, the discussion was made. They were on pit lane on lap 270. Can we go 55 laps? The general consensus was no. Crew Chief Alan Gustafson on your left has been in discussion with his fueler, Brad Pickens. Did you get it full? I believe the answer was yes, but at that same time, lap 306, they radioed to Kyle, save me what you can. Sounds like it's going to be close.
Okay, Rusty, how do you save fuel when you're looking at the back bumper of the leader? And here we got Jeff Gordon now. He's racing Casey Kane for the 6th spot.
And it's hard to save fuel because you can see victory in sight. If you can pass that guy, you got it. And to back out of the throttle, let him drive away, oh, man, that is tough. That's a driver's nightmare. You don't want to do that.
And then you got Kyle Busch sitting up there leading the race, and he doesn't have enough fuel either.
One good thing about the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, he said, I'm a little bit loose, which that's better for fuel mileage. At least he's not tight.
If you're Steve Letarte, are you worried about the 24 getting by the 9, or are you worried about the 24 saving that half lap of fuel? Got to be wondering what he's thinking right now. Take a look at our Ford lap leaders. You'll see that Martin Truex has led 5 times for 135 laps. He will lead the most laps today and get the 5 extra bonus points. Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane. You see Biffle, Allmendinger, Kevin Harvick led a lap, as did Kyle Petty and Paul Menard.
Well, right now it doesn't look like Matt Kenseth has slowed up any at all. The leader just went by Kyle Busch, a 32.07 second lap. Matt Kenseth, a 31.90. So he's faster than the leader. He's not slowing up. It isn't saving fuel at all at the moment.
We talked about the unpredictable and fabulous Atlanta finishes over the years. This could really be a hold-your-breath finish here in the final laps because, folks, there are still 26 cars on the lead lap. Can they make it on fuel? And if you run out of fuel with a lap to go and you get a lap down, you're going to finish 27th or worse.
Oh, man, this lead's heating up, though. These guys might not be saving as much fuel as they think.
Yeah, this is going to be a nail-biter, man. I don't have any nails left in my fingers right now. I've been chewing on them, watching this fuel mileage thing, and I don't like this situation. We got to worry about fuel all the time.
The crew chiefs are biting their fingernails, too, buddy. I promise you that.
We're just hearing now that if there is no yellow flag, at least one car, the Kurt Busch car, will make a pit stop with about 3 laps to go. What about the 48 car? Mike?
Well, Doc, Chad Knaus just came over the radio telling Jimmy to be nice and smooth. Save him some fuel. Jimmy's response was, I really don't want to. I think I have a car that's capable of winning today. Chad had to remind him, look, if there's not enough racing left, look at the big picture. Save some fuel.
That's what the crew chief's there for. He's got to kind of keep that driver focused on what the real goal is. And I know that Jimmy wants to get up there and do what he can. Like you said, Russ, it's hard to do that.
It's very hard to do it. You know what? Some of these guys...
Run out coming off of 4. That's picking up every little bit on our old fuel mileage numbers.
Well, somebody's going to pit, and somebody's going to go for it. And somebody might run out.
More than one somebody might run out. 11 laps to go, and a lot of these guys are thinking that they can run maybe 8 more laps. And those last 3 are going to be, oh, my goodness, can we get there? What about the 5 car, Dave?
Well, Doc, just wanted to bring back up that at Charlotte, the Lowe's Motor Speedway a couple weeks ago, Hendrick Motorsports cars had trouble picking up that last little bit of fuel. And you know they went to work on that in the weeks that followed. Jamie?
And Robbie Reiser, guys, regarding what they're going for right now, he said, basically, we're 12th in the points. We can't really go anywhere. We're pretty much out of contention, so we're going for the win. And what does that mean? We can gamble. We can go for fuel mileage and different strategies. Let's see if they go for it, guys, and if it plays out for the 17 team.
There you go, baby. That's what you got to do. Stand in the throttle, go for the victory, and heck with the points right now. He's pretty far back.
That's the old Rusty Wallace approach. A heck with the fuel mileage. I'm going to drive it till it quits.
If you look stupid, hey, I'll stand on the front line with you and say I was too, you know. But right now I want to win. That's the mood I'm in right now.
Oh, baby, a championship on the line. We're at a racetrack where things happen in the final laps. We've had some fabulous finishes here at Atlanta.
I see that 1 car coming up on these guys, too. Maybe they are trying to save fuel and allow some of these other guys to get in there.
Whoa, look at that. He was pretty sideways coming off of turn 4. And where did Truex come from, man? He just stood in the throttle and caught all of them.
We're hearing the 1 car is 3 laps short of fuel. We've already told you the 2 car is going to have to pit with 3 to go if they do not get a caution flag. But here he comes anyway.
If he's got a pit, let's go for it, man. Let's go ahead and show him we got the car.
Yeah, he says he's 3 laps sharp. The 1 car did. Well, the 17 car, Matt Kent says he's 3 laps, and he's going for it. He's not even going to pit. Whoa, they better not wreck.
If he runs these guys hard enough, he'll make them stand in the gas.
Whoa, here comes the caution flag in Atlanta. Oh, my heavens.
And this is where you start turning the engine off and coasting and saving all the gas.
And the 70 car, Johnny Sauter, has cut a right front tire and taken some sheet metal away. And how many of these guys are saying, oh, thank you for this yellow flag?
Well, they better go kiss Johnny Sauter. We don't want to see anybody having a problem. But, boy, this just might have saved a lot of them.
Well, before they go kiss Johnny Sauter, they got to make a pit stop here. And that's going to see what they're going to do. It's going to be some interesting strategies down there.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd pit or not.
Do you gamble, Andy? We talked about you got to do some things you wouldn't ordinarily do if you're not in the lead. You got to be able to get there. What do you do?
Well, it depends on who I am. If I'm the leader, I'm coming in. I'm going to get some tires. I'm going to get 4 tires, make sure I got enough fuel, especially this 5 car. He's fast.
Yeah, but what if we got a green-white checker? That's a whole different... We've had those all year long, guys.
Now, what about if you're the 17? You're the bottom guy in the chase. How about you're the 1 car?
They're coming. They're coming. They got to have tires. There's 2 seconds a lap, man. They got to have tires.
Here they come. Got to have tires and fuel.
Denny Hamlin stays out.
Let's go down to Jamie.
And Robbie Reiser's on the radio. He said, let's go for 4, boys. Let's get fuel in here. Let's get down and go. Matt Kenseth said they can win it. Dave?
Kyle Busch said to his crew, this is where you earn your keeps. 4 tire change. Oh, they're having a slow stop. Trouble on the right front for the 5 car. Allen.
Kurt Busch needed this caution. He was not going to make it on fuel. Let's see if the crew can have a good stop this time and gain him some track position, Mike.
The 1 team considered taking 2 tires, but Bono Mannion ruled out against that, saying if we took 2, there's a very good chance we can get torn up. They went with 4, and they lost a little bit of position on pit road.
Take a look. Jimmy Johnson up 4. Some of these guys taking 2 tires. McMurray up 8 positions. He's been creeping up there. Earnhardt Jr. up 6 spots.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. Johnson up 4 positions. What could this be? Right side tires, a little bit of fuel?
Yeah, and we got the 11 car Denny Hamlin stayed on the racetrack.
5 car over 18 seconds on pit road, having a good car, but now a bad pit stop when you really needed the best one of the day.
This is the money stop, and this is where the pressure's kind of getting. The Jackman doesn't have the jacket up high enough to get that right front tire off.
Oh, man, the Jack man, he's going to feel bad tonight.
Damage is already done. They make a good left side change, but they've lost a ton of spots right there.
Almost 19 seconds on pit road. They gave up 4.5 seconds to the other cars that came in. He came in as the leader, and he comes out not even in the top 10. And you can see the frustration on Alan Gustafson's face. He just turns around. And how do you explain that to your driver?
Oh, man, so close, but yet so far away.
There's nothing you can say here.
5 laps to go right now, and you went from leading the race to completely out of the hunt.
2 tires on the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson. 2 tires on Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 tires on the 41 of Reed Sorensen. Denny Hamlin, by the way, stayed out in the 11 car. Maybe they're going to roll the dice a little bit. He was 6th when the caution came out. Aerial coverage of the final laps here brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Well, our coverage next week, folks, we head to Texas. Yeah, it's the Great American Speedway. Saturday is the Busch Series, 3 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. Then on Sunday, the chase for the Nextel Cup Series goes down to 3 races to go. 7 of the top 12 April finishers are in the chase, but no driver has won a Texas race and then gone on to win the championship in the same year. Last fall, Tony Stewart took the checkered flag. Our coverage from Texas Motor Speedway, 3 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. We're headed to the Great American Speedway next week as the chase now winds down here in 2007.
All right, Doc, we got Jimmy Johnson in second place right now. We got Jeff Gordon, his teammate, back in 11th, and Johnson's only 13 points behind. Mike?
And you got to give a tip of the cap to crew chief Chad Knaus. That call for 2 tires was an audible, Doc, because they originally planned to go with a 4-tire change, but when they saw the 5 car had problems, Knaus wanted to capitalize. Mid-stop, he changed the command and went for 2. It could pay off.
He was going to go for the Hail Mary, decided to run off, tackled, and just may get him a touchdown here. They may win this game. Great effort by Chad Knaus. That's how you win a championship. He did it a year ago, trying to get his driver back in the lead. And as you said, Rusty, now 13 points out of the lead. Great look back from our Chevy onboard camera, our Chevy pace car on board. Looking at Denny Hamlin, who did not pit. Stayed on the racetrack. Let's listen into the 5 radio for Kyle Busch.
I don't want to hear if it comes back wadded up. Don't even talk to me. Listen, be smart. Don't wad it up. Nobody wants this. Nothing we plan. We'll fix it, you know. We're doing all we can here.
Total frustration, and you got to understand Kyle Busch comes in as the leader, has been driving his heart out here, and then they have that issue on pit road. Lost about 4.5 to 5 seconds in the pit.
And you can totally understand all of Kyle's frustration because, man, he's been up front all day. I feel for him. I really do.
I think this 11 car is going to be a sitting duck with these guys with tires right there.
New top 3. Denny Hamlin is there. Stayed on the racetrack. 2 right side tires for the 48 car. Earnhardt Jr. It's been 58 races since Earnhardt Jr. has gone to victory lane. How hungry is he? Whoops, they stack him up. Coming to the green flag, and all the 31 car has contact in the back of McMurray.
He ran out of gas. You're good. All clear.
Oh, the 11 car's out of gas. He gets hit from behind by the 1 of Truex. He gets nailed. Here comes the 5 car spinning around.
Truex has wiped out the 5 cars backwards. Oh, man, a melee at the start-finish line.
Well, I thought the 11 was going to be a sitting duck, but I thought it was going to be tires. I didn't think it was going to be fuel.
And we told you, folks, don't leave your couches because every race, the last 5, this has happened.
And Truex has had the great afternoon. He had nowhere to go. Cars on both sides. He just center punched the back end of the 11 car that just couldn't get up to speed. And now teammate J.J. Yaley trying to push the damaged 11 of Denny Hamlin back around the racetrack.
And Jimmy Johnson gets around the outside. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Reed Sorensen also. 1, 2, 3 right now. Johnson leading. Wow.
Okay, right now NASCAR's trying to figure out where all these cars are going to restart. Everybody was so jammed up right there, they have to go back and look at these loops and see where these cars are going to start.
And folks, as of right now, Jimmy Johnson is 1 point back of Jeff Gordon in the chase. Gordon in the 24 car came in with the lead here, and now Jimmy Johnson Gordon right now in 9th position. Jimmy Johnson being shown as the leader, and there is a very frustrated Martin Truex.
That's just too bad to see because he had such a great race car. You see here, the 11 car was weaving back and forth, trying to get fuel to the pickup. These other guys just know it's time to go, and they start splitting him. See here, Oh, Martin Truex could not see that car wasn't going.
Well, there's a 31 car, Jeff Burton on the outside. He hit in the back awful hard at Jamie McMurray because he anticipated they were going to go. And man,
yeah, Truex was also right behind the 07 of Boyer, and Boyer moves to the inside. Now watch the 07 move to the inside, and the 1 car is right behind him.
Well, you see, they're past the point of the restart, and they're expecting the leader to go, and he hasn't gone yet. It just has everybody confused.
And nobody's at fault here, guys. This is hardcore racing with 3 or 4 laps to go, and this is what to expect.
Stay in the middle.
Just knocked my eye out.
And if you're Kyle Busch, how costly was that slow pit stop that had you back behind this mess?
Well, he was just a victim here because he was behind all of it.
Green flag. He's out of gas. He's out of gas. What is? Come on, come on.
He could have been right in the middle of this stuff too, so really no safe place to be on that.
Well, folks, coming up next, except on the West Coast, ABC's World News or your local news over most of these ABC stations. In tonight's headline earlier this year, remember, a New England furniture store offered furniture would be free if the Red Sox won the World Series. That looks like a pretty bad bet. We'll update that and more ABC World News, except on the West Coast, coming up next.
That's why we call it gambling right there. It's when you got something to lose, and you can see how much this 11 car lost by gambling on that, staying out with no fuel, tires. Too bad for Martin Truex. Man, he had a
really bad for Martin. He is just so frustrating. You can't blame him whatsoever. I mean, doing so good for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, just flying all day long. Well, DEI's got 1 shot left. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s in 3rd. He's got a fast car too, guys.
Young man's never had a top 10 finish here, and had the worst average finish of any of the drivers coming in Atlanta, and led all those laps, and now it goes away. How about the 8 car of Earnhardt Jr. back in 3rd spot? Right now it's Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Reed Sorensen, and Jamie McMurray.
Well, you know Carl Edwards is not going to give Jimmy Johnson any room whatsoever. He's going to go through it. And could we see the outside lane again where Carl Edwards made the pass to win his first race here at Atlanta a couple of years ago? That's where he went. That turn forward, and he was the turn. It puts a lot of new guys in victory lane.
We burned a lot of laps off here. Matt Kenseth was the first car that took 4 tires, and we looked at maybe he could have a shot at it, but now with a green-white checker finish coming up, I don't know that he's got enough time to get there.
Let's watch what happened again here on the restart. The 11 car did not pit. Now watch the 07 into the back of the 17. 31 into the back of McMurray. Now watch the 07 just missed the 11, and the 1 just has nowhere to go.
See here, Jimmy Johnson, he's watching this 11 car, waiting for him to go. He sees he's not gone yet, so he just kind of gives himself an out, pulls up to the outside. This is totally legal to pass the leader on the outside. The rest of these guys have no idea where to go.
Yeah, well, Jimmy passes him because he knows 11's out of gas. I mean, Jimmy can't check up or else he'll get run over.
Jeff Burton having a good start. You can go on the outside. He gets up there, and he's going to full throttle, and the 26 car had nowhere to go. He just pops the back of Jamie McMurray. Damage repair on the right side and of the 5 car. Kyle Busch, who led 3 times a day for 76 laps.
Boy, has this race changed. You saw Kurt Busch leading throughout the day. Kyle Busch leading. Martin Truex. And now all of them are a little too far back, especially Truex, who's in a crash. Kyle Busch. It's one more start. Kurt Busch might win it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards are 1-2. Folks, why don't we turn back the clock a little bit here. Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson, March 20th, 2005, coming down for the final lap. Carl Edwards had never won a Cup race, and folks, guess what? He did that day by just that much over Jimmy Johnson. Edwards by 28 thousandths of a second over Jimmy Johnson, and the first time the folks saw this right here, the signature somersault for
that
Carl
was his
Edwards.
first 500-mile backflip.
And you know that the 48 car Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards, they remember that time. You know it's on their mind right now.
And Carl Edwards told us it is the same car he had here in 2005. They've saved this race car, and he's hoping for the same result.
All right, pull the belts down. Here we go.
Gonna get one shot. Green, white, checkered flag. Earnhardt Jr., remember, hasn't been to victory lane since Richmond in May of 2006. How hungry is he? Reed Sorensen, it's his home racetrack. He's never won a race.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Folks, put the seat belts on the sofa. Here we come. Jimmy Johnson down for the green flag, trying to win a chase and trying to run away.
Oh, and Johnson gets a good restart. He gets away from Edwards by about 5 cars. Junior spinning.
Earnhardt Jr. spins up in front of McMurray.
Tire flew off that left rear of the 8 car.
How in the world did that happen? That tire completely fell off the car.
That's a one attempt at a green-white checker.
Coming to the white, coming to the white.
White in caution, and Jimmy Johnson will win it here at Atlanta.
Slow down, they're yelling. Slow down.
This one, folks, is history. What a day as Jimmy Johnson wins and Carl Edwards waves out the window.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Left rear tire came completely off of that 8 car.
And talk about a good move out of Jeff Gordon. When that crash happened off of 2, he stood in the throttle and he picked up like 3 positions. Jimmy went from a 1 point behind to now Jimmy's 23 points behind Jeff Gordon. But boy, he picked up a lot of ground today on Jeff Gordon.
Good to see Junior get out of the car here. That was a pretty good lick.
Junior's probably thinking, what in the world just happened?
Dave Burns.
Well, he had some indication that something might go wrong in the 8 car. He told his crew just before that restart, I think something might be broken in the back of this car, and that must have been what he was feeling somewhere back on that rear tire.
Out of the car, able to walk away. So this is the kind of luck. This is the emblematic of the kind of year I've had. Watch the 8 car. My heavens.
Man. It's like maybe a broken wheel or something. I mean, the lug nuts just, don't all come off the car at the same time. It could have been a broken wheel. And Jamie McMurray, oh my gosh, bad day for him. He had such a good run going on.
What a crazy finish.
That is crazy.
Comes off there right up in front of Jamie McMurray. And suddenly a day he thought might end up in victory lane ends up with disappointment once again.
And there's 2 fellas that didn't do anything wrong at all. Jamie's just a victim, and Junior broke a wheel.
Well, the DEI guys sure did have tough luck.
Jimmy Johnson picks up his 8th win of the year, his 3rd win at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and now he moves to within 10 points, make it 9 points unofficially of Jeff Gordon.
And NASCAR's working, Jerry, on the timing and scoring right now. They've put Jeff Gordon back just a little bit, which puts now, at the moment, Jimmy Johnson within 9 points.
So Jimmy Johnson showing as the leader. Carl Edwards will finish 2nd. Reed Sorensen here at the home racetrack finishes 3rd. Matt Kenseth from the last starting spot finishes 4th. Jeff Burton is 5th. Boyer 6th. Jeff Gordon now 7th. And Kurt Busch is 8th. Casey Kane 9th. And Brian Vickers 10th. Let's check in where Alan is caught up with the crew chief for Jimmy Johnson.
Who is smiling as he naturally should. His team has won another race, made big gains in the championship. Chad, the call for 2 tires. Tell us about it.
Well, you know, the only way for us to gain on the 24, as competitive as they're running, is for us to go for the wins, and that's what we've got to do. If it had stayed green, we were going to go for it at that point, and you know, just coming down here, I knew that a lot of those guys were going to do it, and I figured that the guys that were leading at that point were probably going to take 4, and I knew the guys who were just a little bit further back were probably going to take 2, and I just said, hey, let's try it and see what happens, you know.
And it worked out well. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I just can't be happier for this whole Lowe's organization, Hendrick Motorsports. They just, Rick provides us with everything we could possibly need, and everybody back at HMS, from the engine program to the body and chassis development program, they've done a phenomenal job this year, and it's going to be exciting to the wire.
Thank you, Chad. Hey, remember on the pace laps, we talked about pit position being so crucial. Chad had the time to make that call because he had one of the last stalls at the end of pit road before you go back out onto the racetrack. That's why he could react to what the other teams did.
That is a great point. Let's go down to Jamie, who's caught up with Carl Edwards.
Yes, he came over the radio and said a few things. You guys thought you had a chance at it, Carl. What was it like right there on that green-white checker?
Man, I'd have given anything for those last 2 laps to go green. I hope Dale's all right. I don't know what happened there, but I think it was going to be a heck of a race, and Jimmy did a good job. We weren't a second-place car all day, so I'm really proud of my Office Depot guys. I thought if it went green, I thought Matt was going to get it, and then we got that caution, and I thought we might get it. So good day for Roush Fenway, but we've got to pick it up just a little here, be able to compete with these guys like we used to.
Well, Doc, a good day for Carl Edwards. Good way to get the attention back on the racetrack.
Absolutely great effort toward the end with Carl Edwards. And how about Matt Kenseth starting dead last and finishing 4th overall? Unofficial results again. Jimmy Johnson picks up his 8th win of 2007, moves to within 9 points of Jeff Gordon. And by the way, big check for going to the Fire Relief Fund by the American Red Cross in California. Jimmy Johnson donating his winnings, Hendrick Motorsports, and the folks here matching it. So big check going to the folks in Southern California needed some needed relief there in the American Red Cross. Edwards 2nd, Sorensen 3rd, Kenseth, Jeff Burton. Good run for Burton, get a top 5. How about Boyer, who struggled early today, gets a top 6 finish. Jeff Gordon 7th, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, and Brian Vickers. A Toyota now finishing in the top 10 here. Michael Waltrip, by the way, back in 11th spot. Jeff Gordon standing by with Dave.
And he just climbed out of the 24 car, having pulled it into the garage area here. Jeff, you end the day 7th after what can only be categorized as a bizarre day. Can you sum up your performance?
Yeah, it wasn't a real great performance for us today, and we struggled for the middle part of the race. We just this track can change a lot, and it did. And it's all about sticking with it, and we did. Steve Letarte and all the guys on the DuPont Nicorette Chevrolet did a great job. It's just we got it turned around too late, and we were too far behind by that point. But there at the end, my car was pretty awesome. On the long run, I was too tight, but we really fixed it for the short runs. We needed about a 5-lap run right there, and we would have given them a run for their money on those 4 tires.
Jeff, still the championship leader, but by a slimmer margin today, guys.
Let's go down to Mike Massaro in victory lane.
And Jimmy Johnson climbing out of his car in victory lane for the 2nd time this season here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's his 3rd sweep this year. He did it also at Richmond and at Martinsville. And had that caution flag not come out with Junior at the end, what type of moves were you anticipating from the 99?
Well, I got a great restart, so I felt like I was in good shape. I thought the 8 was going to make quick work of him. I had such a good car today, so I had a little cushion going into 1 and was trying to run like crazy to get away from those guys because I knew the 8 was going to be coming. But today wasn't the best day for the slowest car. The Chevrolet was decent, but a 5th to 8th place car throughout the day, and circumstances there at the end really worked out for us and we took advantage of it.
One of those circumstances was a call made by Chad Knaus to go for 2 tires. What did you think of that call?
Well, it depends on how you come out of pit road. When I left pit road and there was 5 or 6 cars behind me on 2 tires, I knew we were in good shape. So the 11 running out of gas coming to the green flag really caught me off guard, and I knew what was going on there. We took advantage of things today. And one other quick note to point out, I'm dedicating my race wins, which we talked about earlier this week. And with everyone else matching it from Lowe's, Rutten Smith here with Sonic Automotive, the France family, a bunch of people, it'll be well over $1 million going out to the American Red Cross. So something we're very proud of.
Congratulations, Jimmy.
Thank you.
And obviously, Doc, this is much bigger than simply a race win. It goes to benefit a lot of people in Southern California.
Absolutely, Mike. 3 races remain in the chase, and the points lead now down to just 9 points. We head to the Great American Speedway. Texas Motor Speedway NASCAR Busch competition. We're going to crown a champion at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And, of course, next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, our live coverage on ABC. Congratulations to NASCAR Nextel Cup at Atlanta winner Jimmy Johnson. Coming up next, set on the West Coast, ABC's World News, or your local news over most of these ABC stations. Folks, congratulations to Jimmy Johnson, and thanks for watching ESPN on ABC.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
It's coming. The country's music.